Hi. All right. Hi guys, welcome in. So sorry that we had to move over to YouTube. If anyone is available, let me pop in here with Mideast, by the way. Um, speak. Let's make sure everyone can hear you. What's up, guys? By the way, if you can document anybody on TikTok that is playing this footage, because I'm going to send that over to TikTok and tell them it's bullshit that other content creators can play this, but I can't. Especially people who are verified, especially other people who are not verified too. Why they're allowed to play this and I'm not. So I want to be able to stick that to TikTok when we have time. All right, let's get back into this debate. Let me put this on full screen and then set this up with my screen share. I'm going to give a second for people to jump in. It might take people some time to get in here. You see. Hold on, I want to make sure that I clicked that we can hear the share screen. And everything should be fine. I mean, we'll be able to do like I think what is it? Super chats or whatever. Like it's not much different than TikTok. Cash apps at the bottom, all of that good jazz. Let's see. We have 184 people in here. Let's give Unknown a little bit of time to pop people in here. I literally got directed to another live playing it after yours. Yeah, I do love it. TikTok sucks for fair use. YouTube isn't much better though. Honestly, yeah. I mean, there's not much I can do at this point. I think the left is targeting me because they believe that I'm an actual threat. Someone shared Discord link one more time. Okay, we'll do that. I think Unknown is working on it right now. This is the best part about YouTube is that I can grab anybody's comments and just bring them up on the mainstream. I literally have gotten to where I can't stand TikTok. I don't do lives, just want but no one else gets reported like Millie does for no reason. For sure. I'm the only one who does disclaimers, by the way. I sit there, I do disclaimers before I play videos. It never used to be an issue. Now it's all of a sudden an issue. So thank you, Chico, already for the $5 for the Baja Blast family. You're doing a great job, Millie. Much love. Thank you, Chico. And we're gonna keep riding this hard. Want to really comment on this. I still have a lineup after this. Hopefully, I can get to it.
When, for whatever reason, the FBI would not, FBI combined with the SBI, it was not the prosecution's fault.
Somebody asked me about Rumble. I typically sometimes do Rumble. The issue is I have to set up an entire separate stream for Rumble. Rumble doesn't have it like YouTube does, where I can log into StreamYard and just click it and it starts. So
made that clear during that hearing, would not allow them that discovery request to be able to see where did that message come from. Because you're saying my client was here, right? I want to know if that message actually was generated from his iPhone when he was waiting to retrieve his, rifle, hoping that the pooch doesn't have a bad sniffer, like just weird messages. I want to make sure that, yes, it was actually him. He was holding his phone and his boyfriend didn't just log in to his computer when he was home. Lance was his boyfriend. That is a crucial fact here. That discovery was not met by the time we got to preliminary hearing. So I remain unconvinced by these text messages. Just as you feel convinced by them, I feel unconvinced by them.
Okay. So then the idea here is the reason that you don't think that these are valid text messages, and you don't, right?
It has not been proven that these messages are valid and they don't sound valid to me. I don't think anyone, even if someone was selling like a, I don't know, pot on the corner, would be smarter than to write a full-fledged confession. He even writes, I thought I would get away with it, and I was hoping never to tell you until old age. And then we're being told that he won't commit suicide. And okay, but he just said he wanted to get away with it, but he's not smart enough to, I don't know, maybe not text it's such a confession like we've never seen. I think this would be like the first time ever somebody has start to finish written an entire, I'm in this surveillance footage and I'm here and I'm wearing my Converse. I'm being a little facetious here, but it was a little ridiculous.
I see.
It didn't pass a sniff test for me.
You have kids and
I
you
do.
love them more than anything.
I do.
If it was the case that you thought that your kid was innocent, wouldn't you be out telling everybody and their brother that you thought that
Yeah.
they were innocent? And also, wouldn't you maybe recant and say, hey, he didn't actually.
Quick reminder, everybody. YouTube is a little bit different than TikTok. You have to actually click the thumbs up button. And I think sometimes you even have to scroll out to hit the thumbs up button. I'll give you guys a second if you want to jump and do that really quick. That helps push us through the YouTube algorithm. So if you guys are able to do that, I appreciate that a bunch. So thank you.
Confessed to me. He didn't actually. None of this happened the way that the state is presenting it. What would have prevented the parents from testifying?
Well, two things I can answer that. And if you watch my show, I keep telling you it's not vibes. So right after the shooting happened, Lance Twiggs, the FBI put him into a safe house they paid for. They went to the parents as well, to Matt Robinson and Amber, basically said, your life's at risk. There could be somebody who jumps up and wants to avenge Charlie Kirk. And, we're going to watch you. And they went into a federal safe house. What happened next is that they started thinking that the feds were maybe gonna, maybe not as honest as they thought. And
how do you know any of that?
You gotta watch the show, right?
Yeah, no. How do you know that?
I had a source within the Robinson family.
You have a source.
So literally hearsay. This is the woman that says we can't use hearsay evidence except for when it's her. She's allowed to use hearsay evidence above and beyond. Okay. She doesn't even lay out a source. She just says, well, trust me, bro. Oh, you just have to tune into my show. Obviously, you'll get it then. No. You need to provide evidence, not hearsay, according to her, because she don't like hearsay. You have to give me physical evidence to prove this. Yet she never does. Ever. It's just a source close to the matter.
An anonymous source, of course. So there's no way for us to verify that what you're saying right now is actually even true.
Fact. Find it to be reliable hearsay?
No, I don't find it to be reliable at all. It's just a source.
I'm just doing what the prosecution
What you're doing is
did.
a cool story.
It's not cool. Well, you must have hated watching the preliminary hearing.
You're giving us a cool story.
Wait,
you're saying that according to your sources, that the reason that the parents haven't recanted any of this.
Recanted what? They have no statement from the parents.
Wait, I just want to make sure that if it was the case, it was being reported in mainstream media that your father came to you and said, hey, is this you? What's going on here? And then he and one of his buddies took you in where you turned yourself in. You wouldn't go out and be like, no, that's not what happened.
That isn't what happened, though. You're just wrong on this.
Okay. Maybe I'm paraphrasing. What am I wrong on?
What is sorry, just so I'm clear, where is your evidence that the parents turned him in?
Well, no. I didn't say that.
You said it the mainstream media?
I said with a sheriff friend.
Yes.
But the father did confront him.
The father confronted what?
Tyler Robinson.
And where did you learn this? That the Tyler confronted
that's part
him?
of the official documents. Our fact checkers can pull that up. But yes.
But I'm saying, when you say official documents, do you mean you saw this on CNN or you saw this play out in the hearing?
No, this was one of the things.
In the fucking indictment. It's in the indictment. This is what I'm saying. She does not read anything. What do you mean, from the mainstream media? No, from the charging documents, you moron. It's that simple.
Things that I went through and fact check pre-debate.
Are you talking about the charging documents?
I think it was it could have been in the charging documents, but we can pull them up.
No.
And yes, are you disputing this?
Do we have that in the back to pull it up?
I can already tell you what you're talking about, the charging documents, because this is where we had to figure out where this story came from, because everyone was operating on the assumption that Matt Robinson turned him in. Until we got to the preliminary hearing and we understood, like I said, even for that, when you are charging someone, you can use hearsay. It's all probative, right?
Sure.
Nothing. So they didn't have statements. It's not like Matt Robinson, even though he was interviewed that night. Amber Robinson was interviewed that night by a Fed, separate rooms. Tyler Robinson was interviewed by a Fed. They did not produce statements saying, my son did this. I believe my son did this. But what happened was they did interviews, but also the crucial person here who you just brought up is Mike Mitchell. Mike Mitchell is the biggest unknown in this entire case. Everyone keeps saying they heard from Mike Mitchell this, they heard from Mike Mitchell that. So when the person wrote up the report that night, and it was Brian Davis who wrote up what became the charging document, he after they transported Tyler Robinson from the Washington Sheriff's County office up to, I think it's Salt Lake City, I think it was 4 a.m. in the morning that they got up there. He then writes the what becomes a charging document. So he's basically saying, we all spoke to a bunch of people and here's the information that we got, right? We've not seen that. So it could have come from Mike Mitchell. Mike Mitchell could be saying,
I don't know how this negates the point though.
Why wouldn't the parents, the point, because you don't have a statement from the parents.
Yeah,
you are going.
Why wouldn't they just correct
it's not
the
correcting. That
misinformation?
doesn't negate the point. The point is that we now got the preliminary hearing. If the parents were the ones who said, I'm turning my son in because he's guilty.
I didn't say they turned him in.
I think you're talking about the over. You said it's been the narrative. Everybody's known this. The narrative initially, which I think you agree with, was that, Matt Robinson knew his kid was guilty and turned him into the police station. What actually happened in terms of Sheriff Brooksby, who was present there and gave a press conference, what happened was this Mike Mitchell character essentially peer pressured him. And we can get a fact check on this. We can find Sheriff Brooksby's press conference. And he said, they know it's you and you're going to come in peaceably, or people are going to be banging down your door. He was a undercover cop, which I don't like that. I don't know what he did undercover. It's very hard to find anything about Mike Mitchell, but he worked with them for 20 plus years, the police officers. The reason why Tyler Robinson knew him was because he lived nearby and he was also his Boy Scout leader. How does
this negate that the parents could write this second? And by the way, if you had the evidence, I'm going to address
that point. I'm just saying that your first point, which is that the parents did this.
Yeah,
we don't know that the parents.
I didn't say that they did ever. Never
you're quoting the parents as having said. You said that Matt Robinson said that his kid was, you say, involved. I don't want to misquote you.
Confronted him about
confronted him.
Yes.
And I'm telling you that we have not seen any evidence that is true.
We can fact check that.
Okay.
Because we do have evidence.
And I'm saying it's the charging doc, which could have been derived from a statement Mike Mitchell said.
Two things I have already in the back. One is the charging doc, and the other one is a video of Kathy Nestor saying she hasn't seen Tyler's phone.
Okay, we can run Kathy to go back, and then just to go backwards to Kathy first in court saying she didn't get her client's phone. Yeah, and then I think we'll go to the. If you're okay with that,
thing not in dispute. These are all things that are not even disputing.
Okay, so we don't have to show it.
We never get to the thing that I am disputing.
Well, I was just providing an answer. We were coming back in from a break because you were talking about the text messages, something that you felt was concrete. So it was just my rebuttal to you that it's not concrete because they haven't had a chance to actually answer that.
By the way, in the press conference, when this first came out, the thing that was stated is that a friend identified him and the parents thought that it could have been Tyler, and that it was Tyler's parents that convinced him to turn himself in. That was what was said in the press conference, that it was ultimately Tyler's parents that convinced him to go to the police department and turn himself in.
And she didn't even get to see her client's phone. So that's effectively.
Thank you, Lisa. Lisa says, why isn't Andrew pushing her harder? He's being way too nice. Because if Andrew pushes too hard, then it makes Andrew appear to be distressed. The whole idea here psychologically is to make Candace Owens crash out when she can't provide evidence of things that she is trying to state as a fact. That is the whole idea here. By the way, we haven't gotten to cross-examination. This is just Candace. By the way, this is the portion of time that Candace Owens is supposed to get Andrew Wilson to say what his claim is. And almost the entire time, she's basically talking through this.
Again, the state saying these messages are real. You don't get the discovery on these messages just yet. She will during trial. They will actually get discovery on the messages.
That would make their case fall apart if it was the case that they weren't able to actually pull the data off the text messages? Do you think the prosecution would go to court with fabricated text messages?
It's called winners and losers. They may not be fabricated, but by the way, as what they are saying, like I said, if there was somebody logged into his phone, they may not be fabricated. That's the point.
So let's get to
the
parents fact check.
So I was saying, right? I believe what you're talking about was derived from the charging doc, which was signed off by Brian Davis. Let's see if that's correct. What are we looking at
Robinson's mother explained that over the last year or so, I'm sorry.
Can you zoom in a little bit?
Is this the charging doc?
I can't see it. Robinson's father reported that when his wife showed him the surveillance image of the suspected shooter in the news, he agreed that it looked like their son. He also believed that the rifle that police suspected the shooter used matched the rifle that was given to his son as a gift. As a result, Robinson's father contacted his son and asked him to send a photo of the rifle, which makes sense with the text messages. Robinson did not respond. However, Robinson's father spoke on the phone with Robinson. Robinson implied he planned to take his own life. Robinson's parents were able to convince him to meet at their home.
Yes. So this is proving my point. This is from the charging document, correct?
Mhm.
Yeah. So what I'm saying to you is that 3 people got interviewed on that night. Mike Mitchell got interviewed,
Yeah.
Amber Robinson got interviewed, and Matt Robinson got interviewed. Of the 3 of them, only one of them actually wrote a statement, which was referred to in this preliminary trial. He came in, I believe, in March, Mike Mitchell, and he wrote a statement, which I find to be very shady that they
Got
decided
it.
to bring.
But why aren't the parents disputing that?
No. Well, first off,
That's the question I've been
the
asking.
parents are not going to ever play in court, play to the cameras in court when they have a legal team that is going to be advising them not to speak to the court because your son could go to prison
But
forever.
they're playing to somebody else who's your source.
I'm not going to address that.
They're
'cause
playing to
I don't-
someone else.
Why can't she ever address fucking anything? I'm not going to address that. That's a dodge. That's you escaping having to answer this question that he's asking you. And she does this multiple times throughout this debate, just completely deflects from answering basic questions. Again, the indictment is what is being used to pursue to a grand jury to even bring charges against Tyler Robinson. Okay. It's a grand jury indictment. So a jury reviewed the evidence that the prosecution set forth. They said, yep, there's plenty of evidence here. This is actually corroborating the story that happened in the text messages because Tyler Robinson talks about this interaction with his dad in the actual text messages.
Who's your source, but won't go publicly tell the media this is not true?
Well, what I did not say to you that. I just said I have a source. So I want to be very clear and take it from somebody who was involved and permanently sued. When I have to take my lawyer's advice, I mean, there's so many things that I want to respond to when people are speaking about.
Yeah, but it's bizarre that they would utilize a source which would get the information to you, but wouldn't just go to the media and be like, actually, that's all wrong.
I am telling you that you would nary find a lawyer who would advise you to go to the media.
This mother,
especially when your son is
if I thought that my kid
was up for death.
If I thought that my kid was in any way, shape, or form going to be up, you couldn't shut me up. Or my wife, she would be like, that's not true. That's ridiculous. There's no possible. That never happened. These people are lying through their teeth. They'd be public whether you like it or not.
Thank you, Dino, so much for the $20 super chat. Also, thank you, Patricia, and thank you, Scott, as well. Patricia sent us $20 on Cash App, and Scott sent us $5 on Cash App. Thank you guys so much for contributing to the live.
Yeah, that's for you and your wife. But when a judge issues a gag order in a case and your son is up for death, and your lawyers could be advising you that if you say anything, you could blow the case, you would have a more responsible consideration.
I see.
And we're speaking opinion here. You're like, well, I wouldn't care. I'd violate it, and I'd violate the judge's orders and see what would happen.
If you have a source, it seems like they're violating it with them.
I'm not speaking to a source, but what I am saying to you is speaking just relevant to what this is. We have not seen any proof that statement that is included in this charging document. I think it is highly likely on the basis of the preliminary hearing that all came from Mike Mitchell, and Mike Mitchell would be a part. He's
based
saying,
on the statements of
it's him saying the parents told me this. The parents could dispute that. That's going to come down the line, right? They're going to be able to seat the parents. I will say this, putting together context clues. If the state had it on, 100% certainty that Matt Robinson and Amber Robinson said it, a 5-day preliminary hearing would be a good time to say we have enough evidence. And I can tell you why Matt Robinson made this statement, and here is his statement that he signed. That would have been a good time to present that evidence.
That would also be a good time for the defense to say that's just totally fabricated.
No, it's not. It's the wrong time.
Why couldn't they?
That is completely the wrong time.
Why couldn't they?
Because what they're doing is they already said they didn't receive discovery. They literally can't. They literally can't because they can't. They did not receive discovery. You're saying that they didn't
receive that information?
No. They just received the text messages. But in order to...
That's not the text messages.
The probative information.
Yeah, we're talking about the information that we just reviewed. That's not the text messages.
They never presented it. The state never put it on.
Yeah, they didn't. The defense could easily still have presented this. Yeah.
No.
They could have said they're
no.
They're not allowed to. Are you sure?
In a preliminary hearing,
yeah,
the defense is engaging with whatever evidence the state decides to put on. They did not put this on as evidence. Brian Davis was up there.
So they're not allowed to present anything?
They're responding to the state's evidence.
I'm asking, are they allowed to present anything?
They are allowed to say...
Like if there was a conspiracy that they could prove right then and there, would they present that in one of these hearings?
No, it wouldn't be the right time for that.
I disagree. I think that they not only...
They literally did. That's why they called up the other witness from the ATF to dispute some of the prior evidence. So she's absolutely lying right here. She just got caught in a big fat lie because they did dispute the evidence. And they, in fact, called witnesses on behalf of the defense in the preliminary trial. Crazy.
Could do it, but they would do it. In fact, when I talked in depth with my attorney, they said that's exactly, if you had actual evidence that there was fabrications by the feds, that's exactly when you would introduce that.
So when in the document that they filed yesterday or a couple of days ago, the appropriate, like what you're doing at this stage of the hearing is the state is saying, we have enough evidence that we think this needs to go forth to the trial. Hence the reason that there's this extraordinary, we allow hearsay because it doesn't really need to be perfect. It can be enough that we feel like we can move forward. Right. And okay, I disagree with that in general when somebody's rotting in prison, but whatever. The next phase is for them to meet in court and for the defense to essentially present an argument to the state that says, we find this filing to be defective in and of itself. We don't even have to defend ourselves because you, the state, have enough, you know what the laws are on the books, and this filing is defective and you should get rid of these charges because they don't make sense based on what you can decide based on a law on the books. So then that's why they then file the dismissal. Right. So in the dismissal, what they're doing is they are engaging, and this is what was widely misinterpreted.
Well, yeah, they're engaging as though as it's a hypothetical. If this is hypothetically true, then
so they're saying all of these charges.
I'm not disputing any of that.
So that's what you're asking. Why you're saying could they just
what I'm asking specifically is like, who could shut parents up who are like, no way, there's no possible, this never happened, this is ridiculous. They would be shouting it on CNN. They would be shouting it from the rooftops. They would be losing their minds. And you're like, nope, the gag order would be enough to keep them quiet. Not enough for them to talk to your source, but enough to keep them quiet. I think that that's quite ridiculous. But I'll even concede this whole point to you. Let's just say maybe this was misconstrued, right? If there's a little bit of reason to doubt it because we're still waiting for the evidence for trial. If that's the case, then why not take the same standard for the evidence that you present? You're just waiting for trial.
Well, you didn't do that.
Wait a second.
We're here.
Wait a second. I just want to make sure that I got this right. That's your argument to me, right?
My argument to you is what?
Your argument to me is that, hey, wait a second, Andrew. There's not enough here that convinces me, right?
Well, that's actually my rebuttal to you, is that you are saying, why are people engaging in what you term to be conspiracy theories?
No.
I term it to be thinking. They're just thinking because they're recognizing there are a lot of holes in these stories and that this is not strong evidence, right? This is the reason they're doing it. I'm explaining to you, this is the reason that they're doing it. I'm addressing what you view to be overwhelming evidence. And by the way, I want to be clear.
That which convinces me.
But thus far,
I really don't know why Andrew at this point hasn't brought up that the fact that the defense made the claim that they need to take the death penalty off of the table because Tyler Robinson's intention wasn't to kill other people. He just wanted to kill Charlie Kirk. So the defense is literally given up that point that the intention behind this was not to kill a mass amount of people. It was just for Charlie. So I really don't know why this hasn't been put out as evidence. By the way, I just don't know why she's trying to dispute whether or not this has gone to trial yet. This is based on the evidence that has been presented at the preliminary hearing, in the indictment, whether or not there's enough evidence to convince you that there is enough probable cause. And by the way, if the court rules that there is probable cause for this, it immediately defeats Candace Owens' premise that it is 0% chance that is Tyler Robinson. She would lose on that. It's a really silly claim to make, 0%.
And this is just like,
every point that you brought up, every point that you've brought up, did you feel like this is beyond a reasonable doubt? I mean, you realize
remember what I said in my opening.
Going to be
it's not beyond a reasonable doubt. It's just what I find convincing is what I find overwhelming.
So why are you so upset when people say they don't find it convincing?
If that was the limitation of the claims that you made, if it was just, wait a second, there's a little bit of problems. There's some problems in this case that I have questions for that I want answers to. Nobody would have a problem, actually. At least of all me. I would be the least likely person to have an issue with you, any of your fans, anybody saying. In fact, I've had tons of Discord calls about this. My position's always been clear. Of course, conspiracies exist. Some of them have way better evidence than others. but I've seen them myself. I know conspiracy. In fact, the federal government has hundreds of thousands of laws about conspiracies. They
Thank you,
see them
Fernando, on
everywhere.
Cash App. Thank you so
We
much.
both know this, right?
He says, I wish you could
That's
give
never
baited
what the
Candace.
problem
Me
is.
too.
The problem is when you make claims outside of, well, wait a second. I'm just questioning evidence here. I'm just questioning what the state's case is here. I'm just asking questions. It's when you make claims outside of that, where you claim that there's good evidence or good standards you should believe because, and then it turns out that it's all nonsense or it's wackadoo stuff or it makes no sense. And when we have a chance to cross-examine your evidence that you've presented, I'm going to show a lot of that. A lot of this conjecture that's based on literally nothing, that leads from no inferences whatsoever. Like you couldn't even infer it logically. That's the problem. The problem has never been whether or not you just said, you know, there's not enough in this case so far until we get to the trial. I remain unconvinced. I'm sure there's tons of people who remain unconvinced yet until we get to the trial. I think that's fine. I think it's fine. There's people who are convinced too. That's never been my problem. My problem is the claims which are external to that.
Okay. I'm not sure I really care if you have a problem with what I think in my own spare time. I don't understand this like lecture that you just gave. But beyond that, what I'm saying is that
What
if the state
lecture?
is allowed to use,
I didn't
this is
lecture
what
you.
this is what my problem is. You guys are not allowed. Yeah, you guys think while it's still legal, you can. You are allowed to do that. So, but anyway,
Nobody said you can't.
going back to you saying I wouldn't have a problem. I think I just demonstrated pretty thoroughly that what you claim that you have a problem with is exactly what the state is engaged in at this stage. So it just doesn't make sense.
That's not the case. In fact,
so if people look and they say, I'm looking at the gun and I see, and I'm inferring this, and someone else says, I'm looking at the gun evidence and I'm inferring that, they're both doing the exact same thing.
They're not.
You're just saying, I want to do it for the state.
That's propositionally false.
That is not propositionally
I'll explain
false.
exactly how. It is the case that every proposition is going to have a true or false conclusion, period. That's just logic, right? It's the law of excluded middle. All propositions are going to be true or they're going to be false. When we get into when we're making inferences based on propositions.
Thank you, Shelly, so much
You
for
can
the $10 cash
actually
app.
come to
She
true
says, thank you,
conclusions
Millie.
with false premises inside of a proposition. In fact, what we're talking about here is not whether or not you feel that you're convinced by this evidence.
But you felt like you were convinced.
Right? Sure. But here's the thing. When you ask me my reason, Andrew, why are you convinced by this? I can give you my reasons why I'm convinced by it, why it seems reasonable and rational to me to be convinced. You could even say, but Andrew, I'm just not convinced by it. If that was the limitation of your claims, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. That's why I wanted to have the conversation, in fact, was so that we could move into your actual claims that you've made, which transcend the idea of I'm just asking questions.
Before we get into that, your team has one thing they want to show before you go into that. So if you want to pull that up, this is the prosecution filing showing defense had full discovery by April 1st.
Oof.
They did not. That's not true.
Wait a second.
Cooked.
To date, the state's prosecutors have disclosed all evidence that is presently and reasonably available to them as required under Rule 16, Utah R Criminal, to be more precise, as of April 1st.
Yeah, that was not 100%. That's why they're caging that by saying what's reasonable. There was an entire, and we can pull this up. Like
cope, absolute fucking cope. This is what I told you. She doesn't read. She doesn't read any of these court documents. She didn't read the fucking indictment. She didn't do anything, any research. She just says shit without actually verifying it. And now she's going to cope over that one. That's absolute fucking cook.
Should now play the Kathy Nestor clip because that's from there. So, and they were basically saying you don't need it at this stage, meaning it's not reasonable that you're asking for this when we're going into a hearing that's just going to be based on hearsay and stuff, things of that nature. But of course, by the time a trial comes, you're going to get all the discovery documents.
Show cause.
Yes. So that's what they're saying there.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, so that's
I'm even fine with it.
Yeah, we all know. And then, by the way, just now that the hearing is over, and you can also fact check this, they now at the end of the preliminary hearing dropped like an insane amount of the discovery stuff they gave to them like the week after. You guys can give me the exact amount. I don't want to say because I don't know my I don't remember how much it was. It was an absurd amount of stuff that they gave to them right after the preliminary hearing that they had been asking for. Because that was one of the things that I kept saying on my show is as we were watching that preliminary of the preliminary, why not just give them the stuff now so they can engage in these arguments? Because I feel like you, it's like, I want to hear what they have to say about the text messages. Why can't you just give them what they're asking for so that they can actually engage you? And it didn't happen. So, but the judge ruled that it wasn't necessary at this stage. And that was the whole point of that
because it's
preliminary
a show
to the preliminary. Yeah.
Would you like to play the Kathy video?
Well, he's saying he's not disagreeing, so I don't think we need
There's
to.
no point here.
There's no
Okay.
disagreement
Right.
that she said that.
Not
Yeah.
part of the claim.
So I guess
Yeah.
the
I'd like to
disagreements now
also-
would move into
I,
the evidences that you have stated
Yeah.
on the record, which transcend elements of reason.
Why are we
in regards
having
to this
a
case.
transcendental conversation now? Because I mean,
Because
first,
they're all
because
related to this
your
case.
entire thing was about looking at the evidence, which never made sense to me. Again, because all of the evidence that you felt to be overwhelming was hearsay. That was bizarre to me.
You told me that I could take as much time as I wanted to question you on
no,
these
but
things.
I'm just asking you to just to lay the groundwork of what you're saying is
Because you've
problematic.
made
That
many,
you
many
decide that it trips
claims.
into
I'll
something
explain.
else. And I do still want to hold you for going through, because we've discussed the gun, we've discussed your
and you can hold me to those things, but I
yeah.
would like to get into the
and
things
we should
that you've
discuss
said.
the screwdriver as
So,
well.
and I'll explain exactly what the groundwork is.
Mhm.
When you make claims which pass the idea of I'm just asking questions because the state's evidence is not convincing, I think you have to answer for those claims because they are in regards to this case. You're saying, I have a claim. It is in regards to the assassination of Charlie Kirk, which is what we're talking about, not just the case of Charlie Kirk, his assassination. You should have to answer for the claims that you've made in regards to the assassination itself.
Yeah.
You should. Yeah, agreed. So if that's the case, then I would like to finally dive into some of that evidence and dive into
Well,
it.
just to be clear, and I'm happy to have you talk about, like I said, publicly, you want to engage in some conspiracies, but I said I want to make sure that we get to the substance of our debate. The substance of our debate
is the major
is me
substance.
demonstrating that all of the quote unquote evidence that you feel that you have, which demonstrates that Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk.
You don't find convincing. I get it.
It's been invalidated by the testimony that we saw, and in your answer for when I
you haven't
explained to you that he had
invalidated
the
it.
most degraded prints was, I don't know. Okay, well there lies my ability to process that.
It's just fine for you
Okay.
to not be convinced up to this point. All of your viewers,
Mhm.
everybody watching,
So
nobody's
you're conceding.
Nobody's giving
on
a
that.
dispute that if all your claims ever were just up to now, the evidence that the state's given, I'm just kind of not convinced. That is not what's been happening. What's actually been happening is that you've made tons of claims in regards to this case and in regards to the Kirk assassination, which are far above and beyond, I just doubt, the state's theory.
Okay, yeah, I mean, sure.
And those are
I
the
do
things
doubt.
that
I do doubt.
I just want to make sure everybody understands that typically in a probable cause, when you're trying to prove and substantiate probable cause, that would be typically around 30% probability that this happened. So if the court moves forward with this case and lets it go to trial, she immediately loses on default because the state would have proven at least 30% probable cause statement to bring this forth to trial. So she would lose on that completely. Because remember, her claim is it's 0% chance that it's Tyler Robinson.
The state's theory. I also am
I get
welcome to say what I think. If you want to move into opinions, if you want to talk about Erica Kirk, if you want to talk about Turning Point USA,
I'd like to talk about all
and
of
get
it.
into it, I'm totally happy to do that. But I just want to say that, like, I do not feel, because I've said what's important to me is that we exhaust this topic
Mhm.
first of our actual debate claims. I do not feel that you sufficiently have
Thank
argued.
you, Shu. He
that
sent
the
us
evidence is
$20 on
overwhelming.
Cash
Sorry.
App.
Question
He
for you.
says
What-
Tyler
proving
I am
every claim
sorry
you made.
you feel
Thank
that
you so
way.
much.
Candace,
man.
one question. What evidence do you need to
W in the
see for
chat.
you to say Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk?
That's a great question. So I actually expected in this preliminary hearing, actually, the inverse of what he was saying is true, right? So this is now the time the state is putting on their evidence. That's the purpose of this hearing, right? The state is using hearsay, but they're also putting on their evidence. So I was just expecting some sort of a slam dunk. Like, we got him on camera taking the shot. At least we have him clear on camera. You're telling me this guy drove 13 hours all around. Like, we can definitely show you a picture that it's going to be beyond a reasonable doubt before we even get to the trial. People are going to see and go, oh crap, like it was really Tyler Robinson. I was expecting to at least see evidence that, because I had reported early on that the source was saying that Tyler did not step foot on campus that day. It is my perspective that he had something to do with something. I do believe he was putting, like, disposing clothes at this stage, at this phase. I do believe he was disposing clothes. He was involved somehow. I find Lance to be more suspicious, if I'm being honest with you. And also, like I said, the use immunity that was given to Lance by the feds, the fact that the feds didn't ask him any questions, the fact that I spoke with Lance Twiggs' family, and they were like, it's very weird that the feds are not asking him more questions.
Agreed.
He's exactly the person that I would imagine to be involved in some stuff. Allegedly, I'll say allegedly. But when we got to the preliminary hearing, there was not a single piece of evidence that I felt was slam dunk. I was waiting for that, a photo. I mean, anything would have made me go, all right, I think this could be the guy. If they had handed over the discovery on the text messages, since that was their big ta-da, we've got the text messages, that would be the first thing that I would hand over. But actually, who was holding them up? Like I said, it wasn't the prosecution. They're right to say we were handing things over, and we heard the defense argue on behalf of the prosecution, saying it's not them and it's not the SBI, it's the FBI that's holding on to things. Is the FBI took everything. The FBI took the gun. The FBI took initially the screwdriver. And then when I heard testimony about the things that they found that were suspicious, example being the backpack, that's something that really bothers me, that they say they traced the shooter, they traced the route that he went on, and then there was an abandoned, we know it looks like he's wearing some sort of a backpack. We know that there was an abandoned backpack found at the bus stop in front of a library, and they felt that this should be taken into evidence. They took it. The FBI, this was the testimony of Amanda Baker, I believe her last name is, but you might want to fact check that because I think I'm blending last names. She was the forensics for the FBI. And then she says she gets a call on the 13th and they stop testing on this backpack because they find that the backpack actually belongs to somebody on Charlie's team. But if you know the map of the layout of the campus, you're going, well, what the hell are they doing all the way up? This is nowhere near anywhere. And by the way, that's not an acceptable answer for why you just gave it back. That's like, why would you give it back? You're acting like no one's ever been killed by somebody on their team before, right? So I found that to be very strange that it was on the exact route that the alleged gunman ran, and that their excuse was, we just gave it back because we heard that this belonged to somebody on Charlie's team. So that to me is, this is why the investigation itself feels underwhelming. When you learn, and this is completely crazy to me, that some of the artifacts that Charlie was wearing were immediately returned to Erica. That's absurd. That is absurd. Everything should be in evidence. When you learn that the car that they carried Charlie in to go to the hospital, they had immediately towed, cleaned, and back up for resale, that's absurd. That should be sitting in evidence. And any police officer that you speak to will say, or a person that's been involved in a crime will say, I didn't get my stuff back for years. It had nothing to do with anything. It was just around. And they kept it into evidence until the trial was over and it has to be approved. I think somebody said by the attorney general has to sign off on giving you those objects back. And we were told this is all fine. And we see, this is just one example, Erica holding the crucifix. That should be in evidence.
Wait, what?
If you feel bad for her and think she should have it and it's sweet, that should be in evidence.
What does this have
immediately
to do with
paving
the
over the
claim?
crime scene? Is this just like the craziest thing ever? This is like defies common sense. You immediately, and when you heard the guy who did it actually go up on a podcast and explain, I got the call. They said it was a paver emergency. I've never.
Guys, a Christian holding a crucifix is just totally not in the realm of Christianity. Why would a Christian ever hold a crucifix? What the fuck are we talking about? This is so stupid. None of this has anything to do with the claim, by the way.
My entire career heard of a paver emergency. They had already had someone come up and dig up the dirt. So by the time he got there on Sunday, the dirt had already been dug up for him to lay down pavers. That is what people are looking at and going, this is weird. There needs to be answers for why this was done. And he tells us the call came from the feds and the governor's office. UVU's washed their hands of it. And what he's saying sounds true because we heard during the testimony, one person described the regions of who was in control of everything. The feds were in control of the courtyard. So in order for anybody to have paved anything, that was federal territory, so to speak. I'm maybe not using that in the best cop term, but the feds were in control of the courtyard. So these are things that I think should be answered for. Why are we doing things differently than you would in any other criminal scenario of keeping the evidence until we know more, until we're confident, the various decoys. I did it. It just doesn't look right.
Okay, so go back to the question.
Crime scenes, by the way, are not held indefinitely. They typically gather all the evidence. They take all the pictures that they need. They comb the area to gather everything that they need to present during trial, or in any case when they're looking for the perpetrator. They do not keep crime scenes indefinitely. They will typically grab what they need and then eventually release the crime scene back to the property owner, which would be an actual school university. The university is probably going to push to get this area back because these kids are going to school. Nobody wants to come to a school campus and look at a bloody crime scene that's laying in the center of a university. They took what they needed. They said, okay, we cleared the scene. We got everything that we need for trial. And that was it. They didn't need to hold that indefinitely. And then the school decided, well, we're going to pave over this. That was the school's decision, not the Fed's decision.
Question. So what would you need to see for you to say
something? If they had, I was expecting, here we have him, he took the shot, here it is, and then I'd be like, great, a clear image of him on the staircase where I'm like, that's definitively Tyler Robinson and he was on campus. We got nothing. We got literally nothing but hearsay of people saying.
But you basically get no case.
What?
You basically no case on planet Earth. You get the,
sure.
Oh, we got a picture.
Okay,
Here's him with the murder weapon.
Right.
Here's him taking the shot.
Most of this doesn't take place on a college campus that has surveillance everywhere.
Yeah,
one clear image of his.
But I don't understand when you're
his
asked
car plates.
If you're asked the question, what would it take to convince? It'd be the same question be asked to me, Andrew. What would take to convince you that the oppositional is true, right? That he's a patsy or something like that. Just good, clear, concise evidence that's been presented, right, and is being presented that I could go through and link all together to see if there's actually some clear picture of there being a patsy. That's what it would take for me.
Okay.
Just
I don't disagree with that. We haven't heard the defense
just
respond.
a good evidentiary standard. And then, of course, I would change my mind.
So just to qualify this. So there is a possibility in the next few months that you may come out and say, guys, it's done. Tyler killed him. Yeah. So you're saying yes to that.
Yeah.
I think it's very important for the audience here.
Without question.
For you, is there anything that you could see for you to say, yeah, this guy was a patsy?
Of course, I'm going to always follow evidence.
Perfect.
So my whole thing is
better
just
chance
this.
of hell
It's
freezing
really
over.
To me. I don't mind people being truth seekers and justice searchers, and the internet has helped solve tons of crimes. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that, right? However, there's also people who, they not only don't solve crimes, but they just come up with conjecture and they what's called flooding the zone. You flood the zone with tons and tons of conspiracy-based ideas, and they go nowhere, right? And in fact, they actually take away from legitimate investigation. Now, I'm not even saying anybody here is purposely flooding the zone. That's not even the claim. All I'm saying is that the claims made absent, this is just me not being convinced by the state's evidence. Those become claims, and claims have to be defended. Just like mine have to be defended, yours have to be defended. And that's what we're going to get to now, yeah?
You want to get into it? Would you guys like to take an ad break?
We'll take an ad
break.
And then we'll talk Erica Kirk and TPUSA.
And the conspiracies that have been conjectured by Candace Owens in regards to this case in the Charlie Kirk assassination.
Folks, we'll take a 3.5 minute break and we'll be back soon.
Oh, shut up with the 3.5 minute break. We're gonna fast forward through all this. But guys, it's not about the money. They're not grifting while constantly putting ads in the middle of this. It's probably because they had to pay Candace Owens $300K to actually defend her standpoints. We gotten there yet? Nope. 3 minutes, my ass. It's way longer than 3 minutes. We there yet? Nope. 3 minute break, guys. I mean, she probably has to piss. She is pregnant. So, Andrew Wilson probably needs a cigarette.
You want to talk about? Is it fair to say you're good defending your position of the overwhelming evidence?
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. You take the lead. Go for it.
Yeah, so I have a bunch of questions for you, and I want to make it super painless, right? So no traps, no gotchas. I'm just going to ask them direct, and I think that as long as they're not loaded, if they're loaded, you should not respond yes or no, but as long as they're not loaded, if I just directly ask them, I'm hoping that you'll just give me a direct answer. So here's the questions that I have.
Wait, before we get into that, I would like to just reply to that. So just to be clear, We agreed to debate our claims. And then I agreed publicly that I have no issues having a conversation with you about other things that I've discussed that were outside of the court hearing and things like other evidence that's come across our lap and things that we've been
Stop
speaking
crying.
about. But I just do want to make it clear to viewers that for whatever reason, you think that you have a right to sort of depose me.
I'm not deposing you. I just want to ask you some questions.
You literally said that I want to be able to question
this is
you.
a meta conversation.
Right,
We're having
but
a meta
okay, so
debate.
now we're transcending. Like let's use a
I mean,
word
there's no-
to
there's
use a
no-
word
nothing
that you're
transcendent.
saying. But this is what you're doing, right? So
Okay.
this part to me feels like a
So
bit
am
of
I
a.
allowed to ask the questions?
I've already said
We
you
paid
can
you
ask questions. I made it
300K.
very clear
Answer
to
the
you
questions.
via email and with you in conversation
Mhm.
that we should be speaking. This
Yeah, I
isn't
know,
like
but
you
I
get to
wanna-
sit.
I wanna
I
ask
said
you
if you
some
want to
questions.
depose me, you should join
I'm not
Brigitte
deposing
Macron's
you.
defense team.
This
But
is
you're
part-
like, I'm
this
just
is
going
a
to ask questions.
legitimate
Can you
part-
answer it? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know what you're going
What is the unnecessary crash out for? We paid you $300,000 to answer all of the garbage propaganda you're putting out about TPUSA and Erica Kirk. And now she's whining about the fact that she doesn't want to be asked these questions. Fuck off. Just answer the questions. If you're standing on business, there's nothing to discuss. You should be able to justify it.
to ask. And
I
I'm
know.
going to
And
answer
if
as
you
I
have
see
issues
fit
with it,
because I'm not.
I get it.
Yeah. Okay.
I get it.
Just
If-
so we're clear.
Usually in the debate, if something's not loaded, I'm just direct with
because
the
you kept
question,
saying
with
I'm
the
Joe
answer.
Rogan. They have no evidence. They have no evidence. And now
Mhm.
you're like, let's move away from the evidence.
You
Just talk about transcendentals.
yeah, okay. Anyway, so direct question, super easy. Was Lance Twiggs DNA on the rifle, as far as you know?
We can't say that for certainty.
As far as you know.
I already answered that in the first part. We can't say that for certainty. I told you the context of which they spoke about those things.
So no, as far as you know.
We can't say that for certainty until we know what other the 5 sets of prints were on
So that
there.
would be no, as far as you know.
We can't say that for certainty.
You can say no, as far as I know, for certain.
We can't say that for certainty. I actually,
You can say
just so
that
you
for
know,
certainty.
if your energy here is going to be like you're my dad and you can tell me how to speak or what I'm supposed to say, you're just going to come up against the wall. I'm
Okay,
familiar with
but-
this debate strategy.
But I
like,
am just
yes or no,
telling
yes or
you.
no, yes or no. We're not debating anymore. We're having a conversation. So I already addressed that in the first half of this about why.
No, we're still
there's-
definitely debating. This is still
no, it's not a
this
debate.
is
Now
inclined
this
to
is you
your-
saying I want to probe
Yeah.
things that sit outside of the evidence. I actually already
That you've
addressed this.
stated.
You asked me.
uh-huh.
You're not going to go like where you're
Okay.
sitting and I'm on trial. I'm not on trial.
Okay, great.
So
let's
you
talk
can
about
have a
the
conversation
let's
as
talk
we've
about the
agreed
French.
to.
Let's talk about the Foreign Legion.
Sure.
This is a debate. I don't think she realized you agreed to a debate for $300,000. This is a debate. This isn't a fucking conversation. This is you in the hot seat explaining why you're saying the shit that you're saying.
Was the Foreign Legion, do you believe, trying to kill you?
Yes, that's why I reported it to
Mhm.
the correct
Oof.
officials in government. That's what I was told, and I handed over that information to Tulsi Gabbard's office.
What's your best piece of evidence for that?
Well, it was
Positive evidence.
It was told to me by somebody who is high up in the French
You're saying-
government. I
Hearsay?
passed off that information to Tulsi Gabbard's office. I also passed it off to Trump's office, Donald Trump's
So
office.
hearsay.
And that's all I can tell you. I wouldn't be able to probe any evidence because I don't have the power to do that. I'm not the federal government.
So no
And I would
evidence.
also like to say that this becomes this other piece of what you do, which is when people say this, I was told this, and this is the evidence that I have, and I'm willing to have that conversation and write the email to the correct government body that deals with this. Like I can't hack into Emmanuel Macron's bank accounts and say whether or not the
I
information.
agree.
But then you go, well, where's your evidence? It's like, well, my evidence is that I reported it. I did the right thing that you're going to do. So if somebody calls and says, hey, Andrew, there's a viable death threat against you, and that person definitively has the rank to be able to tell you this, and you say, well, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to.
She doesn't trust the French government, though. She thinks the French government is trying to kill her. She's also suing. Actually, I'm sorry. Correction. Brigitte Macron is suing her. But she trusts the French government. By the way, the woman who says that we can't use hearsay as evidence is using it as evidence of her own conspiracy assassination plot.
to report that to the feds. And then I go, what's your evidence? It's like, well, I got the information and I gave the information that I got from who I got it to the right body of people. And that's
Okay.
what I did.
Got it. I just want
Cool.
to make sure.
And so
I'm not
it-
trying to trap you.
Well,
I just want to make sure I got it clear.
and that's why I say I want to know what you're doing now, because this has always been the thing. It's like, we actually can't win on the overwhelming claim. So we're just going to go and bring up everything that I think can try to embarrass her. I reported
I'm
exactly
not
as I
trying to
received
embarrass
it.
you. I just want to make sure that I get your
Yes,
positions
I
clear.
have not said.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
go ahead.
Now you have
Versatile.
stated multiple times that you believe that
She wants
Israel's
to turn
involved
it
in the death
to
of
from
Charlie
a
Kirk.
debate to a
Can
combo to prevent the
you
need of
give
Yes,
that.
we can
me?
pull up the clip.
Exactly.
I'm sorry. I'm just saying.
Can I finish the sentence?
Go ahead.
Can you give me the context for what are you talking about? Like when I say, generally speaking, why people think that Israel's involved?
Hmm.
Okay, where's your question?
Yeah. Do you have any positive evidence whatsoever that Israel killed Charlie Kirk?
Well, I couldn't say Israel was on the ground and shot and killed Charlie Kirk. I would say that there are various things that we're trying to establish, one being a motive. And since I don't believe that Tyler Robinson and his transferee is a convincing motive because he was fired up about politics, which Lance testified that he never spoke about with him, nor do I believe that he was so into LGBTQ issues, since Lance testified they never spoke about LGBTQ issues, that he stopped and ate at Chick-fil-A, which if you are into LGBTQ issues, wouldn't be your lunch before you go kill Charlie Kirk for LGBTQ issues, because,
Yeah, but do you have positive evidence?
I'm answering the question as I feel like I want to answer it. Like I said, you don't get to for an hour and a half pepper
But the question I'm
questions and
asking is
tell me.
about positive
I'm
evidence.
telling you that in any case, establishing a motive and and again, I already explained this at the top of the show, but the reason why people find Israel to be an interesting question is because truthfully, Charlie's perspectives were changing on Israel.
Sure.
And he was starting to
So no
realize how
positive
much
evidence.
pressure was being put on not just our government to constantly fight their wars, but also being put on his organization personally. If people had come out and been honest about that, rather than rabid claiming he never flinched and everybody's lying and this is not true, you would probably have people that just go, that's life. People change their opinions.
I understand.
And then there was the rabid, I mean, not even that. It's like everything was about trying to convince the public how much he liked it.
So then other
Israel.
than intuition, how you feel about things, do you have any evidence Israel was involved in killing Charlie Kirk?
I have already said, and if you're watching my show and the context of what I said, this is the general sense of why people think Israel's involved. Nobody has made the claim that Israelis, there were also, obviously
Ian
Joe
Carroll
Kent
made the claim.
Well, Joe Kent, who I think would have the right to assert it, noted that there were 12 Israeli cell phones on the ground that day. I think most people would like to probe that. Now, it could be maybe they were students, and they were Israeli students in Utah that day. But we'd like to probe that narrative because what we've seen after coming from the Israeli government, the Israeli prime minister, kind of denying that he did it, which wasn't really necessary.
Still waiting for positive evidence.
The phone call that happened, which no one wants to discuss in the Hamptons the week prior, or not the week prior, I think it was around August 5th or 6th that took place. And again, the almost desperate lies about Charlie shifting opinion on Israel lead us to believe that there could be an Israeli angle in this. But we cannot say for certainty that Israel called the shots and this is how it happened. But it is definitively, I think, a thread that a lot of us would like to see.
Say there's no positive evidence.
Whatever you want to say, however positive, negative, however you want to say it.
Well, positive evidence
I can just
would
have
be
a conversation.
Material evidence and other evidences, which would
what
point
we've said is on our show is what we've said, which is this feels like a conspiracy building. There's no reason to lie about these things, and yet people.
So we're still on feelings. Like an hour in, and we're still on fucking feelings. No positive evidence of her claims. None. It's just feelings. That's it.
People are lying. BB ain't acting right. The Hamptons thing was weird, and the way they tried to shove the
objection, speculation.
Immediately.
We're just
the day he
speculating.
died, posting a picture of him with an American and Israeli AI'd photo on the president's feed. Doesn't feel right. So,
do you have any evidence that Erica Kirk or TPUSA participated in the murder of Charlie Kirk?
I've never said they participated in the murder of Charlie Kirk. So how could I say that I have evidence they participated in the murder of Charlie Kirk?
Okay. So then you don't believe that they did?
I never have said that statement. So I'm not going to get you to ask me personal questions about things that I've never said on record.
Okay, fair.
Your team is sending messages in the back saying they have a video they want to play.
Okay, go ahead.
Roll the clip.
I don't know what the video is.
Roll it. Roll the fucking clip. Let's do it. Oh my God.
Yes, you said that there's a video you want to play that Candace said she has full confidence Israel was involved.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah. You said evidence that they killed him. I said this is why people think their involvement.
So
if they have the clip, they can play the clip.
Yeah.
They're referring to a clip.
Yeah.
Yes, Dee Dee.
Via whom? My guess is Pierre. Erica. I think that there's a reason Pierre knew that Charlie was dead first. I think there's a reason he was a priority. How? Why? I think France and Israel are involved in Charlie Kirk's assassination. And I'm going to put that out there with full confidence.
Okay.
I also
Involvement.
now have-
I understand.
Yeah.
So you
That's-
think you with full confidence, you think that
Yeah, I think
that
Israel's
France
involved.
and Israel.
Yeah, I mean, the person that gave me that thing that I reported said that French Foreign Legion were on the ground that day.
Mhm.
Again, this would be at a professional limitation for me to then go and probe that information that I handed over. I can't do that. I'm not
But
the
you
United
don't have
States
any
government.
positive evidence of
Okay,
that.
okay.
right?
Nope.
I don't. Can you just stop? It's actually just like annoying to hear you keep saying positive evidence. I've just asked me what I think, and I just tell you, yes, I think
Well,
they are
that's
involved.
a claim.
No, I said here's what I think.
I have every
I
right
think-
to ask you about your claim.
Yeah, but
and if
I
there's
said,
positive evidence
in
for
this
your
statement,
claim.
I literally just said I think, and I am allowed to think. And
Yeah,
you
you're
keep
allowed
saying,
to
do you
think,
have
but you're making
positive
a
evidence?
claim.
I have tons of positive evidence that I'm allowed to think.
I
Yes.
I
Have full
agree. You're allowed to
confidence.
think.
Okay. So
Nobody's disputing whether or not
yeah, but
Candace
like
Owens is
you're-
allowed to
you're-
think. What
you're-
I'm asking is if
but
you have
what's your issue then?
positive
What is your issue with the statement?
evidence.
I think
uh-huh.
that Israel is involved.
That's
I
not
do.
what. That's not just what you said. You said
I did
that
say I
it's with
think.
it's with full confidence.
Yes.
Yeah.
You
that
would
I
think
mis-
that if you had full
Can you have confidence
confidence,
to think when you think?
if I said, for instance, I think I'm going to be late to work, right, with full confidence, I would say my evidence for that is that I'm 20 minutes away and I need to be there in 5.
Andrew.
That's how you would know whether or not you had full
I'm just going
confidence.
to tell you something.
Hang on, let me finish.
Sure.
If it was the case that I said I have full confidence I'm going to be late to work, I would say my evidence that I'm going to be is that work is 20 minutes away, right? And I have to be there in 5. So I have full confidence. That's why I would think that. So I'm asking if you think that Israel and France were involved in the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and you say with full confidence, I'm just asking for the evidence, or at least walk me through the mindset of why it is that you could think that with
I actually
evidence.
don't have to walk you through why I think. I can give you something that I think with full confidence. I think with full confidence that you lost the substance of this debate, and now you're moving toward things that I have said that I think, which I can do. I'm
They're
allowed to.
I'll take deflecting for 500. One, the whole debate is talking about what you think versus what he thinks. It's called debating the logic of your argument. Yes, that is the substance of the debate. And now she wants to run away and say, well, I'm not debating this. We are.
Pertinent to this debate.
It's not exactly pertinent to this
It's
debate.
100% pertinent.
It's not pertinent because our debate
These are claims
claims
made about Charlie Kirk's
Your
assassination. That's
logic.
the complete
but
substance of the debate.
no, actually, would you like to remind him of what our debate claims actually were?
And would you like to remind
You
you
said-
said I could ask you about any of these things
I
to my
said
heart's
feel
content?
free, but you do not get to structure how I'm allowed to reply or ask me
I'm
why
not
are you allowed to
structuring how you're
think.
allowed to reply. I'm just asking you direct questions.
I have full confidence that you do not feel that you represented your claim well. And so now what you came
That's
prepared
nice.
to
I just
do is
wanna
to
know-
present yourself like a professor of
I
fallacies
just want to know.
and to say, you're not allowed to say that. You can't. It's
You
my
can say
podcast.
whatever you want.
Well, I
Nobody's
said it.
disputing that. I'm
It
asking.
seems like you are disputing it.
asking
I think that
specifically
when this
why
is
you
all
think
said
that.
and done, I've already explained to you. I explained at the beginning of this
Mhm,
why I think Israel is ultimately going
France.
to be proven to have involvement in this.
right.
mhm.
I just explained to you in the middle, and now you're wanting me to structure the sentence or provide evidence. You don't have to. You're just
He's
allowed to
crashing.
think. And I've explained to you my thought process. I don't need to structure it in a sentence. If you feel like a professor today, you picked the wrong day.
Don't you
We're
think that
debating
like
your logic.
tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people would want to know what Candace Owens' positive evidence for why it is
No, I
that
don't.
Israel and France were involved in the most traumatic
don't.
public assassination of Gen Z's lifetime is?
That's why they watch my podcast.
So you're just going to drip to them? Like, here's why
it's
I
not
think
dripping.
that?
Every time we come across any of these discussions, they're watching this in context and they know why I'm saying it. So, for example, when you're bringing up, well, Candace, where's your evidence for France doing this? I just told you someone who was high ranking in the French government, right?
Who's nameless?
Of course.
Of course.
Of course.
Of course.
So
So there's good reason
so
to
it's not a
doubt this.
conspiracy, though, if I then took it to the federal government. Like, you can't just go out there
You did
making
it.
a claim to the federal government. You get in trouble for making false statements and things of that nature.
You didn't.
So, and then you go, well, I'm going to probe that. Well, how can you probe that? This happened
I
to
can
me.
ask you, well,
This
that's
is
not
my
what I'm probing
podcast.
specifically.
This is my podcast. I am sharing my life and my experiences and what has happened to me.
Mhm.
And you're
See, this is This is again why they should have done this on neutral ground, because now she's pulling the it's my podcast. It's my podcast. So I'm going to dictate how this goes. See? We knew she would do this. This is why it needed to happen on neutral ground, but she insisted it happen at her place so that she could pull this temper tantrum.
You're basically coming in like you're gonna regulate how I'm allowed to say
Nope,
it. If
I'm
I'm
not
allowed
trying to
to
regulate
say
anything. I'm asking
you're,
very pertinent
you're sounding
questions.
a bit like a professor trying to regulate and say, Candace,
You sound very
can't say,
defensive and like you just don't want to answer questions.
I did answer your question 3
You
times. I just didn't say it in the way that you wanted me to say it.
You just kind of obfuscate and you run away from it. But I would like for you to actually focus on it.
Let's just go through every clip that you guys have prepared, because it's pretty. I think with full confidence, people will recognize the strategy that you're trying to employ. So let's get to the next clip you have prepared.
Sure. They can pull up whatever clips
whatever
they want.
it is that you guys have prepared. So
but I would still, on this point, I just want to make sure that you have full confidence that France and Israel were involved in the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
I think
you have no evidence for it at all that you'll give us.
Well, I already did tell you where it came from. Like I said, I can explain it to you. I can't understand it for you.
Did that same higher up tell you that he was going to kill, or that France killed Charlie Kirk, or just that you were in danger?
They said that the French Foreign Legion was involved and on the ground that day. I've already said that. You just don't like hearing it.
No, Candace, just out of curiosity,
yes.
When you pass down that message to a Tulsi or Trump,
Tulsi's office, yes.
Tulsi's office, are you giving them who told you that, or you're just saying here's what I heard from somebody?
I have this information.
Sure.
And of course, if they wanted to open a file on it, which I thought was quite mysterious, that Trump's office never got back to us. It was kind of weird about maybe they're not the correct office to. I did receive a response
never
from
email.
Tulsi Gabbard's office, but I don't think there was ever any investigation into what I said.
So the call was, hey, I've been told the email.
Yes.
Email was, I've been told
I have information. That.
Wait, she said in the clip, because she was asked about this, they asked whether or not she filed a formal complaint. She said that she didn't file a formal complaint through regular chains of command, that she texted somebody inside the federal government to relay this to their office. And now she's saying that she actually emailed them. Okay, then show us the email.
That the French Foreign Legion was on the ground during Charlie's assassination. And that, it was a lot of information, but
you didn't give specifics who it was from.
Not in the first email, because I figured they would
Perfect.
Yeah.
So if they do contact you,
100,
are you comfortable giving 100% who it is?
I would absolutely give them as much information as possible.
Can I ask a question? If whoever's the U.S. government, why are you not?
Yes, it's very strange to me.
So if that's the case, now they may respond back and say, we did, that's their position.
That's why I did it in writing.
And so I'm glad that's the case.
Yes.
Because so if they
and right away in Trump's office, Margot got right back to me. She said it was on his desk. So he has that. There's no.
And if you do say that and they contact that individual, obviously you don't have to leak your sources here. Is there enough credibility where that person would be willing to talk to them and explain to them exactly what their sources are?
Yes.
Okay.
It seems reasonable. And so why he's asking me to defend that is
I'm not. Never did.
I think those are two different things. That's more something I'm
totally different claims.
Why are they not reaching out to you?
I've asked that many times on my podcast.
What do you think about that, Andrew?
What?
The fact that she emailed, she gave it, and nobody reached out to want to contact the source.
They probably didn't think it was actionable, is my guess. But even if they did think it was actionable, great. Every lead should be followed up on within the confines of what's rational and reasonable.
Is it fair to say that this is maybe a different individual because this is a person that was involved with TPUSA and had a relationship with Charlie?
Who?
No, her.
Why is the moderator debating on behalf of Candace Owens? This is what's weird about this moderator, is he's actually injecting himself into the debate. This is a debate between Candace Owens and Andrew Wilson, and now the moderator is asking both of them debate portions of this. This is just not good at all.
Relationship. This isn't just anybody. So if an average person sends it, yes.
Yeah, but we don't know who the source is. We don't know any of this.
Then if you were in that department,
why is he debating?
Even you assign it to one of your guys.
There's no guarantee they didn't look into it. How do we know? We don't know.
How could they if they didn't come get the information?
He's debating for her
file.
Yeah. What the fuck?
This is a separate. This has got nothing to do with the debate.
Name?
This is more on.
Well, I sent the email, assuming that's I'm saying you go and you make a report. If think they're going to come back to you and say, hey, what's more information? We're investigating this. And that didn't happen, and which is what I raised.
No,
I
I'm
found
asking,
that,
did you send
especially
the source
because
of the
this was at
claim?
a time where they were saying that they wanted to explore every possible
TV1
lead. I even
is what
texted
this
Dan
is now.
Bongino.
But
I,
did you?
so actually, it was three offices:
Let me ask one
the
question. And then
executive
I'm gonna come to you.
office, Dan Bongino, and Tulsi Gabbard's office.
Okay, so a follow up to that is the following:
Mm-hmm.
if they contact you to say, is that specifically to the French government or Israel's involvement in the killing of Charlie Kirk?
That wasn't about
Those
Israel.
are two separate things.
That wasn't about Israel.
Okay,
It was, they were
got it.
saying the French foreign, that person as a part of it was saying that it was the French Foreign Legion that was on the ground that
So
day.
I'm surprised they haven't called you.
Then I find that to be very strange too.
I do as well.
Because who would want to make a report? Like, I mean, I've never made a report with the federal
But when
government.
you did,
one question.
but
Let me
when you
just
did
ask one
send
question.
Mhm.
Let me just ask one question, and then I'm going to bring it to you.
Sure.
The
Why-
question
why is he
in regards
debating?
to, I've not seen that clip, so I'm seeing it now.
Mhm.
I'm full confidence. I believe that
Mhm.
Israel French was involved. Is that also based on a source that somebody told you that Israel was involved in the assassination of Charlie Kirk, or is that a gut feeling?
So in terms of Israel, I mean, what I've said is what I publicly have said here. I do think that at the end of this, we are going to find that Israel was involved. I do. Now, in terms of any of the hard evidence that's been presented, I think this has been a huge problem that a lot of us have had is that they won't even explore anything else that was going on in Charlie's life personally. So if we're not satisfied that Tyler Robinson did this in any way, then every alternative theory should be explored. Other evidence should be brought forward. We've done that in our capacity. Like when people keep saying she has no evidence, it's kind of crazy. I think we've broken like more stories than any news source in the world. I mean, down to pictures.
He's asking you for
details,
positive claims.
police officers, what the dog's name was, because we're not the only people that believe there's a conspiracy here. The police officers that were involved, the many police, sheriff's offices, that were departments that were involved that day, all believe there was a conspiracy. Down to the U.S. Marshals believe there was a conspiracy. They were, my sources at the U.S. Marshals were saying they were basically sent on a wild goose chase that day.
But do you see how you say my sources?
You're not allowed to have sources.
Well,
like
the thing that's funny.
So is CNN allowed to have sources?
Well, hang on. I have sources. If I said I have sources that claim none of that's true. In fact, my sources claim that her sources are lying. My sources claim that none of them believe that there's a conspiracy. My sources claim all of them really think that Tyler Robinson was a lone gunman. If I just said that as hypothetical, wouldn't you say, what?
Yeah, I think what probably adds weight is like then when I drop photos of the car that no one was supposed to see, people go, okay, her sources are legit. So, and then when what I say is then proven in court and nobody knew those things, people are recognizing that my sources are legit. When I say Charlie was scared in the last days, and then I dropped the text message, which you've just learned about a couple of weeks ago, of him saying he was leading the pro-Israel cause when everyone was lying about that, then they say...
All this proves, by the way, is that Candace Owens is actually inside of the Fed organization. All this proves is that Candace Owens is actually Fed slop. She's telling you don't trust the feds and what the feds say, but all of her sources, by the way, are feds. All of the sources, U.S. Marshal Service, that's a federal entity. Her sources at the FBI, that's a federal entity. Joe Kent's position with national security, that's a federal entity. So what she's admitting to in 4K is that she is the Fed slop. She is getting bullshit fed to her from the inside, according to Candace. So trust her Fed slop, but don't trust what the state prosecution is saying. Only her Fed slop matters.
I think Candace's sources are legit. So I think what's happened is I've actually built up a rapport with my audience that it's not vibes and dreams. And that's why they keep watching my content, because like, for example, when I just the other day released the content of the shooter on the roof doing the lateral crawl, then they're going, I don't think these are just vibes. It seems like Candace's sources are legit. So I've proven myself in the market.
Yeah, I'm not sure that would legitimize your sources as being legitimate when it comes to the idea that, they all believe that there's a conspiracy going on, which is actually what your claim is now. How would that actually, hang on, I'm almost done.
How would that, talking to PVD
how would that legitimize? Well, it's not his debate. How would it legitimize?
Thank you for saying that, Andrew. It's literally not his debate. She's trying to turn this into a debate with PVD.
These sources, that even if it's the case that you get some court footage or some things like this, why would it legitimize that your sources are telling you all the marshals believe it's a conspiracy, all the police believe it's a conspiracy, everybody believes it? How would that legitimize any of that?
Well, what I am saying to you, and you are not forced to believe it. So let me just explain what I was answering here. And I think that you understood what I was saying. is I have, because people trust me, compiled a lot of information and presented it to the public. And this information has been proven true. We've presented photos, we have presented videos, never before seen stuff. The public has never seen it. And so what that does is your audience goes, okay, when she says that she has these sources, clearly she's telling the truth. Now, whether you would then go, well, I'm going to believe her when she says they don't believe, they think that there's a conspiracy, that's up to you. You cannot watch my content. I'm not here to tell you that you have to watch my content or believe everything I'm saying.
Well, don't you think
But
questioners should get questioned as well?
By who? I'm not committing a crime, am I? By just like saying what I think and collecting
aren't
evidence.
most of the people you ask questions of not actually committing crimes?
But what do you mean they should answer questions where? Like at a police station? Like
no,
what are you
just
saying?
like if you want people to come in and answer questions for you. I have questions about this in the investigation. I have questions about this. I have questions about that. You want them to answer your questions. Doesn't it seem totally fair that you answer back the questions people have for you?
Well, they're not answering our questions. So it's also fair that they don't answer them.
So you're
That's why I said Andrew Colvett should be in this chair. He's not.
But
That's
isn't that a double? But isn't that a double standard?
No, it's not, because he's not doing it.
Yeah, but what that would still be a double standard. If you're requesting that he does do it, then that seems to infer that you think he owes you answers.
Oh, so inferences are allowed again?
And they never weren't. So that seems to infer that you think that he owes you answers. If that's the case, then don't you owe answers?
Yeah, well, I feel like I'm answering your questions and his questions about, I mean, I'm talking about Andrew Colvett. His position is he's a spokesperson for Turning Point USA. So when the crowd turns against Turning Point USA on the basis of a lack of information, or because there has been, I don't know, seeds sown of distrust, I would imagine, and forget answering my questions because it doesn't need to be me.
Aren't you sowing a lot of those seeds of distrust?
Well, I think they're doing a pretty good job themselves, if I'm being honest. You can blame it on Candace all you want.
Well,
people love to do that.
The thing is funny is
people act like I'm ground zero.
I'll be fair with you.
Ground zero of people not trusting Turning Point USA.
I think that there was some PR there. I think there was some PR there. Sure, they could have done better. Absolutely. I'm not disputing any of that. One thing, though, that I want to just directly ask you is, do you actually believe that anybody in TPUSA or Erica Kirk or Erica actually participated, had foreknowledge of, or facilitated the murder of Charlie Kirk?
I'm not going to get myself into a legal pickle here. Everything I've said is on my podcast. I think firmly that
run, Forrest.
If I was the investigating officers, I would seat them all and I would ask questions. I would at this phase. I would.
She won't answer it.
Okay,
so
what does that
hypothetical.
Mean? Does that mean that you do think so?
I think it was not a sufficient investigation into what we know to be true of 80% of homicides. It's usually conducted.
She won't answer it because she knows she'll get sued to shit for it. So she won't make it. She won't make the positive claim. She'll just dance around it. She'll lead you to that result, but she'll never actually physically say it.
By someone you know, right? And the fact that that was never even considered, that like I said earlier, the backpack was returned.
How do you know that was never considered?
Because they gave back the backpack as just one example. They gave back the backpack. They gave back the.
That doesn't show a conspiracy.
Well, I mean, it shows that the police trusted everybody and didn't just hold things up for a second.
They ruled them out as suspects.
That quickly. I'm not comfortable with that investigation. It's a pretty big organization. There's $100 million incentive. This is
what $100 million incentive?
What I'm saying is his organization, it had grown to, I think it was 100
plus per year.
Yeah, per year. If that's something you want to factor.
Yeah, but what was
your team wants to play video? If you don't mind, there's a video they want to play of Candace said it's impossible to not believe Erica's complicit. If you guys want to play that video.
Also just ask
and so right now their guys are going out and they're going to look for evidence, and then by May, which is fortunately around the corner, then she'll see what they found. So what the F is that performance? How could you sit up there and say, yes, I 100% believe Tyler Robinson did it? That right there is why it is impossible for me to think that Erica Kirk is not complicit somehow. Because what?
Those two thoughts actually don't even follow. How would it be the case that even if Erica Kirk did believe that Tyler Robinson was 100% responsible for the death of Charlie Kirk, let's say she believed it with every fiber of her being, believed all the evidence, because she did. She just actually did. Would it then follow that somehow she's complicit in his death?
I didn't say implicit in death. You added those two words.
Okay. So what's she complicit in?
Yes. So sowing this narrative that Tyler Robinson is guilty. So you're chopping up clips. Like I said, you didn't have the confidence to come
Okay.
in
Well,
and
tell
debate.
me,
So
what
now
does
you're
that mean?
chopping
What
it
does
up.
complicit mean?
We are showing a clip of her on Barry Weiss, which I can't remember the date that she did that interview. And Erica, when she is asked, "Are you one? Do you feel with 100% certainty that Tyler Robinson did this?" And she says, "I do." Then again, context matters. I sit down with Erica for 4 hours under the assumption that she had some evidence, right? Like I'm like, I actually, this is why I did not engage in any like Erica, everyone's questioning what she's wearing and all this stuff. I was like, I'm going to wait here because I don't know, just it feels weird to think that, did I think that some of her mannerisms were weird and stuff like that? Yeah, but that's not, you can't convict somebody on weird mannerisms. And then when I sat down with her and I was expecting for her to say, well, I'm obviously the victim on the case and we got to see the shot, taken or this or that, whatever it is. Great. That's why she has that much confidence 2 months ago. And when I sat down with her, it was nothing. It was nothing. Okay. So this is a conversation.
How would that make her complicit?
Complicit. Again, you said complicit in the death of Charlie Kirk.
Complicit in what? Yeah.
Well, if you let me finish my sentence, I could tell you that. But my point being is that then you take a look at this and you go, okay, well, this is weird. Why would you have this confidence? And then when you sit across from somebody and you say, okay, great, I want to go out there and defend you now. I want people to know that you can't say this stuff publicly, but you know more things. And she just blanks. And then she says, well, I'm going to call the lawyer. And she called the lawyer. Again, all of this is on my show. So out of context clips is not going to work because I know what I say on my show. Okay. So we call her lawyer and her lawyer says to us, she calls him on the phone, pardon me. And it's me, her, and Justin Strife. And I'm like, okay, great. What do you guys have? He goes,
hearsay.
Well, we don't have anything yet. We're not at that phase yet. And I'm like, well, what do you mean you don't have anything? And he says, well, don't you know how it works? It's a probable cause hearing. So basically the state says that they're going to bring this forward. And now our people go out and they look for the evidence to assert that Tyler Robinson is guilty. And so I asked her directly, her lawyer directly, the phone's in between us. I'm like, wait, so just so I'm clear, you haven't seen anything that the public hasn't seen? And he says, no. So I'm going back in my head and I'm going, okay, so why is Erica saying?
I'm just pointing out that this is actually hearsay evidence that she says that she doesn't want to validate hearsay, but then she uses a lot of hearsay to justify her standpoints. I just want to give a quick shout out. Thank you, Tucko. He sent us $50 on Cash App. He said, Tucko, Catholic bot here. God bless you. Bless you, Tucko, and with your spirit, my friend.
With such a degree of certainty, like she was sent out to convince the public and people bit, by the way. I remember even Megyn Kelly was like, let's wait. She's going to have access to things. I did think she had access to things that we didn't have. Why express that confidence to the public as opposed to just being like, we don't know yet. I feel confident he's involved. They made an arrest.
I don't understand. How would any of this make her complicit and in what?
Well, I've already told you. She's complicit in trying to fool the public into thinking this is some open and shut
How
case.
is she trying to fool the public into this? If she believes
like, don't look anywhere else.
If she believes that Tyler Robinson killed Kirk, if she believes that, how would that be complicit in anything?
I do.
Are you saying that you think she doesn't believe it?
I don't believe that at that stage she sat down with Barry Weiss that's what she believes. No, but that's my opinion.
Right. But so when you just say complicit, you just mean she believes that Tyler Robinson killed Kirk? That's it?
That's what we were talking about. That's why I said if your strategy was to dice up clips and take it out of context and make it seem like I said she was complicit. Everything. Yeah, but then why not just play the full thing? Like why?
Because we don't have like infinite amounts of time, I'm guessing. You probably don't want to watch.
Well, I'm going to go back to my theory that you didn't feel confident that you could defend your claim that it was overwhelming evidence. So now you're trying to move towards doctored clips and getting me to respond to it.
There's no doctored anything. I'm just making sure that we got this right. Yes, that what you're actually saying is that Erica is just complicit in believing it.
When I re-examined her actions backward, because I did not have this perspective of her at the beginning, which is why it's so funny to me that you guys make it seem like I'm ground zero. People thought Erica was sus from day I forgive him. And I was not a part of that. I did not lean into that. I did not contribute to that. I was getting actually terrible messages from my fans being like, Candace, you and Charlie always say to go with your intuition. You won't address this, how we all feel about her. Things changed for me when I saw that Zoom call. I will tell you that for sure. And
I just want to make sure that we get the definition of the word complicit. Complicit is an adjective meaning involved with others in an illegal wrong or underhanded activity. Okay, so saying that she believes that Tyler Robinson did this does not mean that Erica Kirk did something illegal. That is what she's saying. And honestly, Andrew should ask her what that definition actually means so that she could walk back that claim.
The fact that she lied to me. So I sat across from her and, I wanted to have that conversation publicly, but they're probably grateful they didn't do it publicly. She told me some lies. And so the next thing that happens naturally when somebody lies to you, when any person lies to you, whether it's a toddler, people only lie when they're trying to obscure something else.
Have you addressed what that lie was?
Yeah, I've talked about, we have a list of lies that we've been told by, we can find that,
in
I'm
the
sure.
meeting with her.
Well, no, I didn't want her to cage up. I didn't want to do this, and because I didn't know what to expect. Like I didn't know if she was going to be like, I'm so overwhelmed with everything, and I don't know who to trust in the organization, and I don't know what I'm doing. Like I didn't know. I didn't want to.
Just out of curiosity, before anything happened with Charlie, how close were you and Erica?
Not very close.
So there's not a relationship.
No, I would say it's totally normal. Like it's not like there was any issues at all. We were always nice to each other. It just is our life went to a different phase, right? So Charlie and I hitting the ground, running around, traveling 4 days a week. Now I get married. I find love of my life. I get married and I get pregnant. I've been pregnant. I haven't stopped being pregnant. And what you want out of life changes. You don't want to be running around for 4 days a week and traveling on a plane nonstop. You suddenly want to start building at home and live. I was desiring that suburban life.
Did you guys ever do the double dates? You, George, her, and Charlie? Was there ever double dates between the four of you?
I was, engaged to George.
Why is PBD asking these questions that are irrelevant to what Andrew Wilson is trying to construe? Like, he needs to back out. You're supposed to be moderating the debate. You're not supposed to be participating in the debate.
George quickly. We were planning our wedding. I was kind of in my bubble with
Who
George. George
cares?
traveled with me and Charlie, but Erica and him were just starting to date at the beginning of 2019. George and I were planning our marriage. So George really got to know Charlie. I wouldn't say that I really got to know Erica. I was just rooting for them because I knew how much Charlie wanted to, find love. And so I was kind of his wing woman throughout that phase. And I was just happy. And I never was under the impression, obviously, that they were going to get married when they were dating. So it wasn't like I was conscious that I really need to get to know this person. And so it was just kind of normal that by that time, because of where I was in my life, that I wasn't spending any time getting to know Erica per se.
So the complicit part about Erica.
All of this is irrelevant. This is turning into an interview between her and PBD. Guys, if you can do me a favor, I think there was like 140 something people who liked the live. If you can actually hit the thumbs up button, it actually helps boost us in YouTube's algorithm. Thank you.
To you, is that a gut feeling? You think
it transformed when she lied?
You can take the lead. I'm just asking questions.
Yeah,
I don't.
Go for it.
I actually don't. I still don't understand what you think she's complicit in.
Yeah. So when I say Erica's complicit, that's my opinion. When you tweeted Erica's too retarded to kill her husband, would you like to explain how you developed your evidence, your positive evidence for the fact that Erica was retarded?
Yeah, sure. So I just think all women are retarded.
Oh, so you're allowed to just say stuff. Who knew? So and by the way, what dramatically transformed your opinion of Erica after going to the headquarters? Because you were pretty hostile about.
I wasn't hostile towards him.
My God.
You don't think calling somebody too retarded?
No, come on. That's like normal tongue-in-cheek stuff for me online.
Oh, you're being tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah, usually when I call someone retarded, I'm being tongue-in-cheek. Yeah. Like for instance, you got supporters. I mean, if you want to use the same exact argument, you would take a supporter like Owen Benjamin. He called you bad names and called your husband bad names. You're just like, well, that's no biggie.
I've never answered him on anything that he said. I'm saying that you now are her biggest defender. So do you still think
I'm not her biggest defender?
Do you still think she's too retarded?
No. I didn't know Erica Kirk. I'd never met her before.
Okay, but you had an issue with Turning Point being led by a bunch of fembots talking about the feminist angle.
Still do.
And then suddenly you go to the headquarters.
Still think it's a terrible idea.
You go into the headquarters. Now all of a sudden you've got text messages that you're sharing with them. You say that you and your wife are getting involved with management.
Oh my God,
no.
so
I'm not
funny.
involved in any management at Turning Point.
Well, I'm pretty sure there is a clip of you where you say that your wife went to their recent conference and sat down down. And then when you were on Joe Rogan.
No. Hang on. I'll explain what happened just so that you understand.
Yeah.
So I was invited there to do some debate training. That's literally what I was invited there to
Facts.
do on recommendation. So I went down and did some debate. That's the first time I ever met anybody at TPUSA.
Okay. And then you said you sat down with Erica.
Well, I didn't sit down to her. I talked to her in a hallway.
So you didn't sit down and speak with Erica?
No, I didn't have like some sit down long conversation. We talked in a hallway.
Okay. Is that when you gave her the hug?
Yeah, gave her the hug right there. My wife did too. We were both very sorry for what happened.
Okay, so at what point did you start receiving text messages from that you cited in your opening statement?
Oh, I just reached out to TPUSA and said, I'm prepping for a debate. Is there anything that's pertinent that I can use here?
Do you find it interesting that people have been asking for, basic answers to questions, and you're saying that you walked into their headquarters and reached out and they instantly...
It's amazing, isn't it? If you reach out in good faith and you're not demonizing them and saying that they're complicit in the murder of people's deaths.
Crazy concept.
That perhaps they're actually willing to release things to you that are pertinent, other than thinking that, perhaps you're diabolical.
Crazy concept.
I feel like if I was going to release that information, I didn't demand that it be released to me. I actually never demanded that it be released. I just simply said that this is what was going on in the last 48 hours. Maybe to the media, they could release it. They could release it to PBD. They decided to release it to a guy that called Erica too retarded in June.
So what?
Yeah, I just think it kind of shows that Turning Point is sending you as their horse.
Well, I don't know.
They don't have the courage to have the conversation.
Like, I don't.
If they were just releasing something in good faith to answer questions,
do you have any evidence of that claim?
It's not evidence.
No?
You're sharing your opinion
No.
that she's too retarded. I can't share my opinion. That I think it's going to register as really obvious to the public. That rather than presenting that throughout the course of everybody wanting to know what Charlie was going through his last days, they decided to give it to you to come to my house as some sort of a surprise. Well, do you think the public's not smart enough to see through that?
Do you think that if you
talking about terrible PR,
if you know that there's a huge debate that's coming up that's going to be probably one of the most viewed that year, and one of the debaters calls you and says, I'm taking this position. This is the position that I feel like there's the most evidence for. And Candace also agreed to answer many of my questions in regards to this. So if you got pertinent evidence here that I can use, I definitely like take a look.
What is
it was actually amazing to me. It really was actually amazing to me how if you approach people in good faith and just say, hey, I'd actually like to know what the facts and details are around this, they actually do talk to you. It's amazing.
Yeah, I just do not believe that they are doing this in good faith. I don't believe that anything you have done has demonstrated that's in good faith. It demonstrates that you walked into Turning Point USA headquarters and came out a different man because you were critical of the organization. You were critical of Erica. And now you're sitting here going, Candace, I want to interrogate you for an hour and a half about everything you've ever said about Erica. Have you ever been
critical of somebody that you hadn't met and then you meet them and you're less critical of them?
And the inverse has happened too. I was less critical about Erica and now I'm more critical about her.
But I'm asking you, isn't it the case that there's people you've been critical of and then you've met them and you're less critical after you meet them?
Too retarded. I feel like if you think that she's dumb and let's just talk about your record. I mean,
she's going in circles on the retard claim instead of actually proving any of the claims that she made. They're going to waste probably at least 30 minutes on this retard claim. One, she's trying to prove that, he works for TPUSA. He's in line with TPUSA. If he's licking TPUSA's balls, right? Then why would he call Erica Kirk retarded? She's actually debunking herself in this own claim, because if he really did love TPUSA and he was like a PR propaganda mouthpiece for TPUSA, he would never call Erica Kirk retarded, which, by the way, I don't think he should do that even as an Orthodox Christian.
A person that has spent time in what most people would term to be the manosphere, talking about
I debate against
against feminists
and red pillars, and a lot of the actual. So I'm a Christian ethicist.
And then you go on to Joe Rogan, and you're like soft explaining away why Erica had to take over Charlie's company when they don't have a parent at home. So now you're a feminist icon. Like, you just go into the headquarters and you just shift all of your perspectives.
That's a bizarre criticism. Like, nobody's in the bigger girl boss position than you.
Yeah, actually,
you're in the biggest of the girl boss positions. Like, you don't have to do this. You just do this. You could definitely not do it at all and be fine, right? But you still do.
I would say that you are making a comparison that cannot be compared because...
What? Wait. She's anti-feminist. She wrote a book, Make Him a Sandwich, but she's out here running her mouth while her husband is taking care of the kids, but she's the biggest anti-feminist, right? Why is it that she doesn't apply that same logic to herself? I'll tell you why. She's a fucking narcissist. That's why.
Because Erica's husband was just assassinated in front of the
Dead?
world.
Which
The
makes sense why
parents-
she would take the organization
No,
over.
that it makes sense why you would go home to your kids, just so you know.
Wait a second. That's bizarre. You
Because
wanna
they don't have a
protect-
parent. They don't have a
you wanna
parent and they've
protect-
just suffered a trauma. You don't
Yeah.
go into the office
You
6
want to
days later.
protect your husband's legacy,
Yeah,
right?
no.
And you're trying to find some
The
new
legacy
role.
is his children, not the organization.
It's both.
No,
Yes, it
I-
is both. It's totally rational and reasonable to
Nope.
believe that it would be both Turning Point USA, that is part of Charlie Kirk's legacy. He worked his whole
I
life
think
for
this
it.
is why people think she's sus.
and his children. Now, for you though, to say that
Projecting
anybody's
500.
a girl boss, right? That's
I
like the
didn't-
pot
that
calling
came
the
out
kettle
of-
black.
That came out of your mouth.
No, that was you. You brought up girl boss.
Girl boss came out of your mouth.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm telling you that you brought up this idea that I'm defending some feminist nonsense. I'm not. I'm pointing out that they're. By the way,
She's not qualified
always
to take over his company.
There's always objective outliers to each situation. In fact, it's the exception that proves the rule. And the interesting thing here is like, I'm still just as critical of feminism inside of TPUSA
Too loud,
as I've always
sorry.
been. And I'm just as critical of any pro-Zionist position as I've ever been. None of that's ever changed. By the way, I would think it's the most rational, reasonable thing on planet Earth to do if you wanted to actually see an organization change, to try to work with leadership or reach out to leadership to try to do so. Doesn't that make the most amount of sense?
I would like to state for the record that I think Erica is underqualified to run
Perhaps.
to run the organization.
Sure.
And on the more emotional aspects, I agree with what seems to be a majority opinion, because I'm not gonna say it's scientific, that any woman that would leave her kids and go right into the office after their husband was publicly assassinated does not have their priorities straight.
Okay, well, I understand that you can have those criticisms,
Yeah.
but I'm not understanding still how that would make her complicit.
I don't have to keep answering the same question.
Okay,
So
but
let's
do you
let's
feel
get
like you
team
got
is
an answer
asking
to how
your-
it's complicit?
Your team is asking to play a clip. So if we
Okay.
want to play this clip to just finish this segment on the Erica Kirk topic, we can spend some time on that as well. So
Okay.
if you guys are ready in the back, we're ready.
Well, why is it the argument that Erica Kirk has to do what Candace Owens thinks she should do? Why is it that, right? Charlie had full confidence in his wife. He didn't pick a weak person. He picked someone who was strong, right? I have kids too. My kids go to a clinic throughout the day. And while my kids are away, I have time at home to run a podcast. That's what I do. So why is it the inference that Erica Kirk can't do this, but Candace Owens actually can? Candace Owens runs a podcast. She's on X all day long. If Candace Owens is her criticism of Erica that she doesn't spend enough time with her kids, why don't you hold that same proposition to yourself? Where is your time with your kids? Because you're always on X, you're always on social media, and you're always doing a podcast. It's just hypocritical, to be honest.
And causing that 30-06 diameter, as would happen with a patent explosives, as we've demonstrated to you in the past, it accidentally, because of how Charlie was crouched, went up and hit his neck. And that ruined everything. That ruined everything. It was problematic. It's the reason why Terrell then had to scramble to get the cameras down, because they were never supposed to see it. They could have said reasonably that a 30-06 got eaten by Charlie, much more reasonably, obviously, than saying that the chicken bones in his neck stopped it because he ate vegetables. They panicked. That was what then, that's why Terrell's nervous on the phone with me. Again, this is my theory, and I am now very much sticking to it. Okay. They panicked. It's the reason Erica had to step out. That's why she would have gotten on the phone with Terrell so quickly, because I was going, why is Terrell saying, well, I didn't want Erica to relive. Oh, that's why I did it. He didn't have an answer. He was nervous. It was crazy. But he acknowledged it. He spoke to Erica immediately. Why did you speak to Erica immediately?
Do you believe that there was a shape charge that killed Charlie?
Hey, can I ask you why you keep starting clips mid-sentence?
probably to get to where the clip
Pivot?
is.
No, it doesn't seem that way because you can always start a clip at the beginning of a sentence. Like you're just start of like it's completely out of context.
Then pull
Wait,
your
I
own
didn't.
clip.
Yes.
I didn't
so
prepare the
in
clips, but
yeah, I think
that's-
I
didn't.
Like you
But
were
it's
kind of
fine to
ready.
ask it to back it
Like
up.
I said, I don't need to say what's happening here because the internet will clock it. But in this episode, we are now going, and that's why I said we're now going to look at some alternative theories. I made it very clear that this was a theory that I didn't want to look at.
Where is her team, by the way? Like Andrew's team is fact checking things. Her team has not done barely any fact checks. If the rebuttal from Candace is that we're not showing this in context, why doesn't her team grab the clip that puts it in context? Because I haven't seen her team do anything, to be honest.
believe, because I don't have every episode on my head, but I'm pretty sure this is an episode where we presented the evidence that was in the car, the photos of what was in the car,
Mhm.
right? And so we are now inferring off of what we see in the car that this very much does look like that we see a bunch of shattered Rode microphone, which was an early theory that I was actually interested in, but couldn't really wrap my head around what was the shape charge explosive. As I say at the beginning of the episode, like it was just not my expertise. And I was concerning myself with timelines and stories and statements that didn't make sense. Without question, Terrell Farnsworth is someone who made me think that we were missing a big part of the story. So I'm walking them through John Bray's theory. If we started to insert what we are actually observing with the evidence that we're taking a look at and what took place that day. So we're completely in the hypothetical right here. And you're now introducing this.
If that's the case, if you're just hypothetically exploring it, that's why I'm just asking directly.
Yes, but that's obvious when you watch this episode. So that's why it feels like I'm in the middle of an interview with CNN when they like pull up random clips and they're like,
just making
"What's
sure.
this? What's this?" You watch the episode, you
I'm
know
just
what it is.
trying to make sure. Do you think that your alternative theory?
I think John Bray's theory should be explored. Yes.
Okay. Do you think that Charlie Kirk was killed with an explosive?
I think that is a possibility.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay.
And it
good.
should be explored. He's done a lot of work on it. John Bray has done good work, and I think that that's why that theory is now starting to gain steam since we released the second set of the photos of what was in the car. I think it's viable.
So this was the big thing I wanted to get into with you on the explosives too.
Mhm.
What is it about that theory that's actually compelling to you? So I looked into the explosive mic theory multiple times. And the biggest thing that stood out to me is there's no explosion. there's literally no explosion. In fact, there's videos when the shot rings out that kills Charlie. At least it sounds like a shot to me. People are actually like looking up towards where the gun is being fired. They're looking away for where the sound is. Like, where's the actual explosion?
Well, for every person that you say looks away, there's going to be a person that was looking forward. We have former Marines that have gotten on and said, it looks to me like there's an explosion under his shirt, right? You obviously saw Rob O'Neill go on to, I'm forgetting which platform it was, where he said, it's the first thing I thought was it looked
Rob
like
O'Neill is the man that killed Osama bin Laden.
Yeah, and I think he's qualified to say what he believes he saw. We should actually, since they're pulling clips, we should run that clip of Rob O'Neill and what he said and what he observed and his experience.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take that. And also there were people who immediately spoke to the media that day who said the same thing, that they thought that something happened under his shirt. That was actually, if you go back to like my first episode, when I was just observing what I saw with my eyes, I was asking the serious question. I was seriously saying, why is it like somebody shot him from underneath? Why is his shirt moving first? It doesn't make sense to me. And that's
because of air dispersal from the bullet. So whenever a bullet is shot, a projectile shot, you can actually run this experiment yourself if you have a rifle.
Mm-hmm.
Take like an empty box of ammunition and put it on the table, and then fire it near the muzzle, and that box will actually blow off the table.
Okay, so question for you: does that box go sideways off the table?
It can.
It can.
Yeah, you can. It depends on the dispersal.
You 3,000 pounds of energy or 2,000 pounds of energy coming at you. That's how much it carries.
Well, it's not 2,000 pounds of energy.
We can fact check that. How many pounds of energy is it? A 30-06 being shot 150 yards away. That's a great question for Grok. I'm going to say when we looked at it, it was between 1,500 and 2,000. I'm pretty sure pounds of energy coming at you, and you just go upward and to the side. I don't really buy that. I'm going to just say think that that's not
right. But
possible. It doesn't go through on top of that. So there's another miracle. You didn't get blown backwards. It didn't go through.
Air is,
but I also want to say that you're saying this can happen, and Rob O'Neill is infinitely more qualified, I think, to speak on that.
Why?
And well, because he's actually shot and killed people.
Why would that have anything to do with anything?
There's also other special forces people who disagree with this, like Matt Tardio is also special forces and works with explosive ordnance. So there's people who have debunked this as well and broke it down. So I don't know why we're appealing to authority on one Navy SEAL's take.
Because did he slow down all the videos of the people he shot to see if their clothes moved?
Well, why are you able to assert your position as
because I'm gonna tell you how projectiles work. He's not even gonna I guarantee you this guy's not even gonna disagree with what I'm about to say. If it is the case that you have energy and you have mass and the mass is moving in the air has to go somewhere. It doesn't have a choice.
I think you're like totally BSing right now, man.
Not only am I not BSing, I'm telling you the truth. If a bullet is moving in air has to move out of way of bullet.
But maybe not at the bottom of a shirt here. I don't know. I disagree with that. I'd like to say for the record, I've watched some of you do these sorts of things where you assert something with a lot of confidence, and
you can fact check it.
Fact
check if bullets displace air.
Not about whether it displaced air; it's where it dispersed the air. Underneath his shirt here.
It's not underneath the shirt.
The bullet's this big, and you're telling me it's going to hit his neck.
Candace,
and then
it's not underneath the shirt.
The shirt
starts
puffs
up here, and the collar's moving, and then you see the wave here as he's moving backwards.
No.
Yeah,
that's not true.
It's not.
And we obviously can't show that clip. I disagree with you.
Okay, I understand you can't show it for TOS purposes.
Exactly. I disagree with you. People can go watch and make up their own minds. We don't need to debate it. Whether or not it was the first thing I said was, why is his shirt moving first? That didn't make sense to me. It almost looks just.
Okay, if that's the case, why didn't the ATF and the FBI find explosive residue on the shirt or explosive residue on his body? Because if it was an explosion that came from his mic that's clipped to his body, then there would be residue that would be left within the shirt. There would be typically something like a burn mark within the shirt, and you would be able to see that. But that wasn't presented as evidence, not even in the probable cause preliminary hearing.
Like this, it goes across. His necklace breaks first before Charlie even reacts. If you watch it in slow, his necklace breaks first, which I thought was very odd. And then you see a puff here, and then the next thing you know, there's the entry wound on his neck. I would not confidently assert that I see smoke. I've never said it on my platform.
Do you think that an explosion generally has smoke?
Yeah, you would think so.
I don't think that there's any quality version of video that would get us to be able to answer that question other than Terrell's 4K footage that he has from the front. So
there's a lot of, if you look at the Israeli pagers, it's assumed that it's a similar, if not the same type of explosive that was used inside the pagers that would have been used inside of this road mic.
I think that you should, since you love debating, you should debate someone like John Bray, who's worked on that theory for 11 months, and ask those sorts of questions of how a shaped charge would work. I presented the evidence of what was in the car, and I
think if you want to debate somebody, maybe just like debate somebody who knows what they're talking about, because like I don't know what I'm talking about. So maybe you should like go debate someone who does, because I'm clueless. This is so funny.
Also, at that episode that you're clipping, said John Bray has done an unbelievable amount of work on this. And I think he has debated a ton of people actually regarding this topic. So that's the route that I would send you on.
Gives you a black eye.
Yeah, for the purposes of my show, I do believe, to answer your question, that it is a hypothetical. I mean, that it is a theory that should be thoroughly explored.
There's two clips your team wants to show. One of them is the Rob O'Neill clip, since we're on it. So if you guys are ready in the back before we go to ad break, if you want to pull it up, this is a good time to do so.
And good to see you, General Holt. A lot of things bothers me about this. Nothing in particular. And it's not like I'm out there saying big lie or a conspiracy or someone did it. I'm just saying, I've been in a lot of shootings. I've killed more than a handful of people, and this thing looked shady off the bat. I mean, I've killed people closer than I saw the camera, and I've never seen a shirt move like that. That looks like an explosion to me. Just the fact that no one started doing first aid to Charlie Kirk, they were more concerned about getting SIM cards out of cameras, removing cameras, and then getting him off the X somehow. There didn't seem a lot of concern for his life. It seemed like just clean it up, and then I mean, I've been told they paved it over a couple days later, and then you get Erica Kirk behind all the razzle dazzle, and she's really quick to forgive the alleged shooter, which
technically says that was him because I forgive him, but that you can't forgive Candace Owens for having an opinion or asking questions. And they mock people by saying, oh, I'm just asking questions. Yeah, I'm a SEAL Team 6 sniper. I'm asking a lot of questions. No one wants to answer them.
And you're able to.
He's actually said very little about the explosive there.
Yeah, literally none. He's like, well, I've shot a bunch of people and I just never seen a shirt move like that. The rest was just like shitting on Erica Kirk. Her team is so bad at this.
So
I'm just saying he observed, he said he's shot people up close and he's never seen a shirt move like that. And it looked to him like an explosive. That's what he just said.
But
that's short range. That's short range. This is a long range shot.
Play that video at full speed. I can't see a shirt moving. I can only see a shirt moving when we slow it way down. So if I'm in real time, I'm just assuming this, right? If I was in real time and I was in like a close quarters combat, you kill somebody situation and I shot them, would you even see the shirt move?
Well, I just feel like 5 minutes ago, you were arguing that it was because the bullet carried air. Now you're saying you don't see the shirt move at all.
Yeah, but that's, if you slow it down, the disbursement of air, that's where you're going to see it, right? It's going to be very quick, very, 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 very fast.
Yeah,
and then
that's not what I saw. And clearly it's not what he saw. And
she's not comprehending what Andrew Wilson is saying to her. Andrew Wilson is saying that if you were to pew someone in real time, that this micro movement of the shirt would not be seen with your naked eye as it's happening in real time. However, you will be able to see it if it's on video and slowed down to where you can see that occur. But you likely won't see it while it's happening because it happens within half of a second.
He thinks that there could be an
She's not
explosive. So I'm just saying to you,
when
people disagree with you. Your opinion's not a fact. That's all.
I understand.
I think that's a good place for us to, if we have another break, and then we can keep answering your questions.
Yeah, I mean, I think
ask her about the black eye scope.
Sounds good.
Perfect. We'll do a quick 3.5 minute ad break. We'll be back for the last segment.
Cool.
All right.
She should have asked the Navy SEAL like how many times he got a black eye from shooting a rifle from a scope. Where do you get the theory that if you shoot a rifle with a scope on it, you're going to have a black eye from the recoil if it's a 30-06? If that was happening, by the way, if you were constantly shooting a 30-06 with a scope and getting a black eye, nobody would shoot or hunt with a 30-06. It's regarded. All right. We're just getting past their 10-minute break. I don't know why he says it's 3 minutes. It's never been 3 minutes. We'll get there. A lot of this is just like deflection because Matt Tardio, who's also special forces and works with explosive ordnance, has completely debunked the explosive mic theory. But Andrew Wilson probably should have done more research on that.
Well, Andrew, if you want to go with your last couple thoughts.
Yeah, so I just have two more clips to play.
Okay.
Right, and then we can do final thoughts. I'm guessing.
That's it.
I feel like.
Bro, no
we
way.
got where we were trying to go, or at least for the most part. So
they should have pushed her on the body claim.
I do want to play the Twigs clip. That one is important to me. The Twigs DNA clip.
Yeah,
and they're going to pull it up just
the
to
burial.
Respond.
Well,
to it.
you don't have to play it because, like, if you're saying that when I initially watched it, I thought that Lance Twigs' DNA, like, he was directly responding to that because the testimony was a bit confusing. They started by saying that they were going to like explaining how they got the samples, and they said Lance, Matt, and Amber Robinson, how they got their DNA samples.
Thank you,
and
Rocky.
then they started speaking about the gun and said, multiple prints were found on them. And then they moved and they said Lance Twigs's DNA was found on the screwdriver. When I went back and rewatched it, I realized, well, they haven't officially said that Lance or Amber are on the gun. So I think I've already conceded that we don't know that. So I think, like, but if you want to play the clip,
this is directly you saying it is on the gun. Twigs' DNA
I'm saying
is
that
on
I
the
feel
gun.
like I've already said to you, like, I've made that concession. But just to be clear, whenever I make a mistake, I just correct it. So that's why when you were asking me 3 times, I've already said we don't know yet, and I've corrected that mistake. So if the purpose of you showing this is to demonstrate that Candace makes mistakes sometimes when she's taking in a lot of information and she's reading through legal documents and she's trying to remember 9-hour testimony.
It's just demonstrate something else. It is, in fact, the case. We're all going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
I'm going to make mistakes.
And I've already
You're going to make mistakes in the case.
Yeah.
But in this case, you were very adamant that his DNA was on the gun itself.
Yeah. So I'm just saying that it's not ruled out. We know that there's 5+ prints. I've said this so many times. I had to rewatch the testimony again. It's like 9 hours a day. It got very scientific when they were speaking about this. And I think I wrongly extrapolated that they meant all 3 of them were on the prints when the only person they officially named was Matt Robinson. So we don't know yet if Lance Twiggs has his DNA on the prints, DNA on the gun officially just yet.
Okay.
I've already conceded that.
Sure.
So
that's fine. And then the last one is one with Erica Kirk.
Sure. This is like the Erica Kirk. All right,
Well,
Erica. You could just sit down with me, Erica, but we can do it this way.
This goes
Sit
back to
down
a
with
previous
you.
claim that you made.
Yeah,
by
sure.
bringing it up.
Wait, Erica did sit down with her and have a conversation. Why is she whining that Erica Kirk hasn't sat down with her when she openly admitted that Erica Kirk sat down with her and Erica Kirk's attorney? That's crazy.
Straight to jail, straight to jail. For questioning, at least, Erica. I don't care who's mad. I really do not care who wants to be upset after this episode. Really, you will be wasting your breath. You can spend $1 billion on influencers because this is all becoming increasingly inexplicable. You are asking me to be an idiot, actually, and I cannot do that for you. Someone once commented beneath this show that if the situations were reversed and there were this many verifiable lies,
So straight to jail.
yeah, so that's the show intro, and straight to jail is a monopoly term.
Okay.
Like, you know.
So do not pass go.
Yeah.
Do not collect $200.
Yes, it's
You're going straight to
obviously
jail.
tongue in cheek. And then we explain that actually I think that she should be brought in for questioning because of inconsistencies. So this is the exact episode when I started to think that she should be sat down and questioned. And I still believe that. I still hold the perspective that Erica should be sat down and she should be properly questioned.
Do you know that she hasn't been?
No, actually, that would be a great thing for the spokesperson of Turning Point USA to say that she's already
but
sat through.
why do they?
I mean, my guess would be she hasn't because they returned everything to her.
Yeah.
But
Why do they owe you that though? Why
they don't owe me
Yeah.
anything. That's my show you're watching. Just, you know, the clips that you're pulling are
Yeah.
from my show. So if I want to say something on my show, I can say that. I
You
didn't say
can.
they owe me something. I don't think that's ever,
You
unless you
can,
have
but
another
if you
clip.
say like you need to be sat down for questioning
Yeah.
and you don't even know if they haven't been, that's strange, right?
Do you know if they have been?
No, I have no idea.
So you're just saying, what if they haven't been?
Yeah, if your
You're just kind of
entire
filling the air.
if your
with
entire
just
thing is
junk.
if you're no, it's not junk. If the query is why is it that Erica Kirk's not being sat down for questioning, but you have absolutely no knowledge whether or not she's been sat down for questioning or not. What that does is it creates an innuendo. It creates an inference. It creates out to the ethos that this should be happening because something's wrong here when you actually don't have the knowledge that anything's wrong at all.
I just think that my opinion is that she should be sat down and questioned.
But you're not sure if she hasn't been.
Yeah, and you're not sure if she has been either. So, like I said, I feel like now you're just kind of filling the air
to
with
my
nonsense
knowledge,
because
this
Turning
is
Point's
to-
like, we want
To my
make
knowledge,
sure that you go in there and you
nobody-
defend Erica. And I have to say, I don't think you've done an extraordinary job
Great,
at that.
but I'm not here to defend Erica. The thing is, though, is like
that since 4 out of 5 of the clips that you
Yeah.
had on the ready when we asked you guys ahead of
Mhm.
time. I mean, I want to just assert how professionally we have dealt with this debate. As you can see, we have not planned any gotcha clips for Andrew. I expressed to him that what we were going to do was just to use people for fact checks, and because I might not remember something, or I do remember something, and you're saying no, and that is what I think will register to people as very
well, wait,
fair.
I expressly
We did not take out of
what?
context clips of Andrew
But
to
I
try to repair.
expressly said
Please
that
don't
I
cut
was
me
going to
off.
bring claims.
We did not.
Right?
No, when you said you were going to bring claims that
Your
you would want me to
claims.
speak to, you didn't say I intend on sitting you down with out of contexted clips to which we said to you before in an email. Any clips that you want to share with us, send it
Mhm.
over. Let's assert a debate claim so that we can both be ready to respond to it. This just
That's not really what happened.
well. What didn't
yeah,
happen?
this the way that you're framing the exchange. That's
do you
not
mean?
that's not actually what happened. We were negotiating. It is true we negotiated out the claim itself, right? Which one's going to take which position. I wanted to make sure that I had at least an hour and a half on mine, and you got the time for yours to question me. We did. We got through your hour and a half on mine, roughly an hour and a half now on mine. That's basically how this went.
But in the beginning, I did not take an hour and a half to just pull out of context clips with Andrew. I actually debated the substance of what's going on in this trial and this hearing. And I do think that I think you fell short of that.
There's nothing out of the, hang on.
And
There's
I did
nothing
not
here
say,
except
I'm
holding
just
you to
gonna
account
get
for
you
your
to say
claims.
yes or no. Well, We
Yeah.
were supposed to be debating the case
This
and
is
whether
part of
or
the
not
case.
there was overwhelming evidence.
These are your claims about the case.
No, you then
Facts.
admitted that now you're getting into another sphere and you want to talk about the transcendentals and things that I've
And
said.
we got through.
And like 4
Yeah.
out of 5 of your clips are about Erica Kirk. So the general
I don't think 4 out
perception
of 5 even
is
were.
your turning points horse.
Oh,
I
so you
think
just-
quite
just-
a few
you
of
just-
them were.
you
Was
just-
there 3
just made it
Ericas
up?
or 4?
So you're just making stuff
Can
up?
we get a count of how many were about Erica? I feel
I
like
think it was
Yeah.
3.
3.
3.
Okay,
Yeah,
3. I
3.
said 4.
But those are extraordinary
sorry.
claims. That's which is why you're asked
Okay,
about them,
well,
right?
okay, but the point being is now you're veering into trying to get me to defend my opinions, and then you
That's what this whole thing is about, is defending her claims and opinions on what she thinks happens. I don't really think she understands what a debate is. We're debating logic. If I'm debating Donald Trump, right, and I'm saying, well, I agree with Donald Trump's policies, I'm debating what my logical reasoning is for voting for Donald Trump. And if I were debating like Dean and Parker, they would be giving their logical reasoning based on what their opinion is, why they support Harris. She doesn't want to be asked any of these questions, even after she said that he could ask her all the questions that he wanted to. Now all of a sudden, she doesn't want to be asked any questions. This entire time, she's just been squirming in her seat, saying, I don't know why you're asking me these questions. Stop asking me these questions. That's kind of weird for a person who's asking everybody else questions.
completely shirk responsibility when I point out yours. No, they're not claims. When
No,
you
they're
tweet
claims.
Erica is too retarded, you go, that's just whatever,
can't
and
hear
then you
many
move on.
That's a claim that and I'm responsible for the claim.
Well, earlier when I brought it up, you said that it was tongue in cheek.
Yes.
Mideast, you're muted in Discord. But okay, for some reason we can't hear him. 1 second. Speak. His microphone's going off. 1 sec. Speak now.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Should have done that earlier.
Sure. That's me responding.
I was going to say, it was interesting
your
she brought up the video of the Navy SEAL, because that gentleman is in question for his story regarding the
Bin
OBL
Laden.
raid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing is that I think Andrew Wilson should have prepped a little bit further for this debate, because there are special forces people who debunked that claim. So like Matt Tardio as well. He's special forces EOD trained, debunked the whole Mike thing with evidence, right? Providing pictures, all of that. So I find it really weird that Candace, who constantly questions what everybody else's claims are and what everyone else says, she doesn't want to be questioned about the things that she has said. She's also upset that Andrew is bringing up clips of things that she has said and saying, well, we could have done this with Andrew. Andrew's not making conspiracies outside of what Tyler Robinson's case is. He said, I just agree with the state in saying that he doesn't, believe that there's an alternative person. Candace Owens has made the claim that there is a 0% chance that it is Tyler Robinson. She has to provide positive receipts for this claim, which she has not done the entire time. She has not provided positive receipts about her assassination attempt, which she was asked questions about. She has not provided positive receipts that Israel is involved in this. She has said, I have sources, trust me, bro. And I think my sources are credible because I provided text messages. That doesn't prove that everything that comes out of your source's mouth is true, right? There can be truth wrapped around a big fat lie. So I can start off with a point that has a hint of truth to it. And because of that, I can say everything else that has not been proven through positive claims as a lie. That's essentially what's going on here.
Of the claim. That's all I'm doing here.
I was interested, and
She had a dream.
And I'm happy to get into also the Patsy stuff now, if you would like to.
well,
Your
that
team
was
has one more
supposed to
clip
be
they want
the
to play
whole
One
from
more,
7 days
okay,
ago.
sorry.
They got one
They
more
had
clip.
two.
and
We
then
were
can
getting
go to
into the Patsy stuff, and you stopped it, and I was explaining to you. Oh, they have one more clip. Okay, let's go.
They want to hit the minimum.
This is again, like, she had the entire first half to argue her points. This is how a debate works. The first half is going to go to the first person to provide proof of their claim and question the alternative person. She wasted the first half of her time bullshitting. Now it's Andrew Wilson's turn to ask the questions that he wants, and she doesn't like that.
Mama, 4 clips you were saying with Erica, so
100%.
This is absurd.
okay. And this is the one you're saying from 7 days ago.
He should have brought up the
While they're
defense.
looking for that, do you want to continue?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
can I
yeah.
ask a question? I know it's been, or like, can I ask a question? Or are we
Not
just in
really. I'm just gonna.
Okay.
We're going to hold to the actual contract itself.
the contract does not say that you are allowed to just question me without me being able to respond to you
I've never said you
or
can't
have
respond.
a conversation.
You've been able to respond to every question I've asked you. And by the way, the other thing is like,
Let's have it your way. I want it to look like
Still happy
we've
to have
done
the
everything
debate.
Andrew wanted to, so that people can fairly assess the situation. So you have it your way. I
Totally
will not
fine.
ask a question.
Totally fair with me.
So are you good with her asking a question or
He
no?
said no.
Waiting for the clip.
Okay. So you want to wait for the clip first. Okay.
Mhm.
You guys have it in the back? Okay, beautiful.
I would have just let her ask her dumb question. It would have
You
been
think
much
Jeopardy-
better
She
than
told
pure
me they had it,
silence.
so-
That's what I heard.
Just
Okay,
get back
come
to
on,
the
guys.
debate.
Did this crime. Okay. Because
I
Lance
can't hear
Twiggs
this. My
has
thing
his
went off. Just
DNA
tell me what
on
it
the
said louder.
towel.
It's fine.
Lance Twiggs has his DNA on the rifle.
Lance Twiggs
And to
has
be
his
clear,
DNA on the
Lance
rifle.
Twiggs'
Said this-
DNA
repeated this 4 times,
was
but I don't
not
know why they feel
as
like they need
degraded
to-
as Tyler Robinson's DNA was on Tyler's rifle. It's Tyler's rifle.
Oh, you
But
also
Lance's
said, yeah, it's
DNA
not as degraded on the rifle.
Yeah, because I thought he was one of the things, but I've
Right.
already that's what I mean when I say that. Like, it just seems like you're not actually here trying to engage, because even before you got to this, and I knew that you had some secret clip planned, I said to you when I rewatched the testimony, I realized that they didn't explicitly say Lance Twiggs. They said 5 other profiles were on it, and that his was the most degraded. So I hope your team feels fulfilled in playing that. Is there any more? I'm happy to play every clip that he has on the ready. Anybody?
You said you had some new evidence at the beginning of the
Oh yeah, we
debate
should
you had
show that
something
text
new.
message that you read,
Did you
just
wanna
because
share
I
that?
think that's important for the public. You shared it out of context,
I'll do it on my show. I'll share the text
so you're going to
message.
read it on my show but not show it.
Correct.
Okay.
So I'll show it on my show, but that's what I'll do. I'll show it on my
Can
show.
I ask why?
Well, because I want to drip out the evidence, you know. That's got to drip out that evidence, keep people coming back for the show, right?
Oh
I
my
don't know if Snark
God.
serves you so well.
I'm just saying, like, yeah, I'll
As
I'll release it.
if she's not the queen of snark. Fuck off, Candace. You're such a snarky bitch that you made fun of a widow and the way that she's crying when you were like, "Oh my God, my husband died." Dab, 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 fake tears. Shut the fuck up with the bullshit about crying about snarkiness. This bitch is a huge hypocrite. He's right to say, tune into my next show. That's what she likes to do. She doesn't like getting called out for that. But Andrew should have brought up the evidence that the defense just submitted on behalf of that. They want to throw the death penalty proposition off of the case because they're saying now that it wasn't Tyler Robinson's intention to kill anybody else other than Charlie Kirk. They should have done that. I think that they're missing that in the debate.
There. Yeah, that's my intention. But yeah, I'm fine with closings if you want to do closings.
Well, I also would just, if I may ask a question, is that permitted?
Go ahead.
Just so I also have clarity, since your basis
Please
is in
ask about the
evidentiary,
bees.
you keep saying that you have evidence, or like you are following
Oh,
evidence.
Love it. Thank you, Dee Dee.
Which one of the charges against, or all of them, do you think Tyler Robinson is guilty of?
The specific charge?
Homicide.
Yeah, so I think
In the
what I
first degree.
think is that Tyler
Murder one.
Robinson shot Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, but of the 7 charges that he's being charged.
Yeah, can we list them real quick? I'll tell you
Murder
exactly
one.
which ones. We'll pull them up.
Well, do you know any of the charges that he's up for right now?
Yeah,
She
of
doesn't
course.
either.
But I
Can you-
want to
can you
make sure
name
that we
one?
have them listed.
Yeah, but like can you name one? Because my general perspective is that you don't actually care about this case. You're not
Is
following
that
the
it?
case.
That's the
Yeah.
question. You're
Yeah,
just
but-
not
but
following it
seems,
enough.
It seems pretty like if you're going to engage and you're going to say the evidence is overwhelming that Tyler Robinson is guilty, I just think that you should
All
like.
right.
Can you tell me one?
Then let's do the
charge that
counter.
he's-
You can really, hang on. This is a great gotcha.
No. You just got to ask me, play
Yeah.
clips out of context,
Yeah,
put me
yeah.
in the hot seat. So
Mhm.
please just answer the
This
question.
is fair.
Murder
Name
one?
you
all
name-
7
can
since
you-
you've been following the case.
Okay, sure.
Go ahead.
You name one.
Yeah, you named all 7.
I'm happy to do that, but can you name one?
I think he's been charged with murder.
That's actually incorrect.
Okay, great. Now name all 7.
He doesn't even. This is like.
Name all 7.
And I
Can you
think
name all 7?
I can.
Then do it.
Sure, you don't have to
Do
put
it. No, do it. I'll count them. Go ahead.
you don't have
name
to put
'em.
your fingers up. I
Okay,
can do
hang on.
that.
Name them.
Yeah,
Do it.
sure.
Name them.
The first charge is aggravated murder because that's what carries
Okay.
a death sentence
So
in the
murder.
state of Utah. No,
Next.
that's not. That is literally not
So
murder.
he's
Okay.
charged
And
with
so just so
murder.
people, no, don't. I don't have to do it in a time limit. There's nothing going on. And just to explain to people the difference of why that really matters and shows that he doesn't actually care about this at all is because aggravated murder, it's narrowly defined
Just
and because
avoiding
it
the
carries
question.
a death sentence. I'm going to answer the question.
Okay.
You're
I'm
just going to
waiting.
recognize that your strategy of thinking that people are intimidated when you try to put a time constraint doesn't work.
He is charged with murder. He is charged with murder, and her being like aggravated murder. It's Leviosa, not Leviosa. Fuck off, Candace.
And you'll be better the next time you debate
I got
someone.
it. I got it. Give me the other ones.
Yep, all
The
7.
more you cut me off, the longer I'll take. Do you want to just wait for me to finish of why that's a big difference so that
No,
people
I just
don't walk
want
away?
you to list the charges.
Yeah, I'm
It's
going to
all
do that.
murder.
You just don't get to pretend that there's a time constraint for me to do that.
Well, how long does it take you to list 7 charges?
I'm because I'm speaking. You just got to.
It sounds like you're just delaying it because you don't know them.
I know all 7 of them,
Then
and I'm
tell
going to
me
say
them.
again because you're going to get embarrassed. You don't have to rush this. I'm also showing an example of a very flawed debate strategy. I
Okay,
actually
well,
am
I
under
got
no
one.
time constraint.
I got one.
Great. The second charge is the felony discharge of a weapon. The next 2 charges are for obstruction of justice.
Okay.
The next 2 charges are for witness tampering. And the
What's
final
the specific charges though?
that is them obstruction of justice,
Both of
obstruction
those-
of justice, witness tampering, witness tampering.
Okay, wait, and there's no other specifics to them.
Well, I can tell you why he's being
No,
charged
no,
with
no.
it.
Just the charges and then 7.
Yeah. See, the bad thing is when you try to be an a-hole and it doesn't work.
What's the 7th?
The last charge is violence in front of a minor.
Okay, got it. So then he's being charged with murder. You just say aggravated murder. That's the distinction. You just want to
It's a massive. It's
Got
like
it.
you cannot
Massive.
say murder versus aggravated
massive
murder.
distinction.
This gets to the entire crux of why him being up for the death sentence. And I actually find the defense's filing about why this is not aggravated to be very compelling of why it's not aggravated murder. I actually think that if the state was going to even try to pull this off, they should have charged him with just murder. And then I do also, again, want to stress to audiences that debate strategy of thinking that you have to speak faster or somebody puts your hand up and they try to pretend like it's some sport. I think he thinks it's a blood sport. It's not. It's about being right and being principled when you're engaging. And you can make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time, but at least be genuine in pretending that you care about this case enough to know one of the 7 charges that are up against Tyler Robinson when you say the evidence is overwhelming.
Aggravated murder is a higher level homicide charge, which indeed this is a murder charge. Applied when the standard of first degree or intentional murder involves specific severe factors, such as unaliving a police officer, murder for hire, multiple victims, or act of committed during another violent felony, which I think they can prove the other violent felonies.
That he's guilty. If you would like to move to final statements, I'm fine. I want to make sure Andrew has had the time that he has requested.
I think your team would like to pull up the 7 charges that he just asked you about. If
Sure.
you guys want to pull that up just to confirm the 7 you went through. Can you guys zoom in a little bit? For
Aggravated murder, felony discharge of a firearm, obstruction of justice, which is counts 3 and 4, 5 and 6, tampering with a witness, and count 7.
Violent
I said offense in the presence of a
in front
minor.
of a child?
Yeah.
what
So
I said.
5, 6, tampering witness, 3rd degree felony. Now I did notice something I just was curious about. If I'm just wondering, when you pulled out your phone just before you asked that question, did somebody by chance text you that question?
You can check my phone.
I'm just curious.
No, you can absolutely not. I have not had one communication
Okay.
with a single person, not even my producers who are in there this whole time we were here. You want to check my phone? I'm happy to do it. because you're just going to get double embarrassed. Where's my phone?
You
should
want to
do
see it?
I'm
You
just
can.
curious. Yeah.
You can literally do that. Here you go. PBD, you're the moderator.
Okay.
Take it.
Let's see
See
it.
if anyone was texted at all during this debate
All right.
about the violent charges or anything.
I'm looking through this. You give me permission.
You
so I'm
have
looking
full
at the, I'm not
permission
gonna
to
give
go through my
names.
phone. I don't need to
So
cheat.
the last one has nothing to do with it. It's just a compliment.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't even read my text messages.
That's
so
a compliment.
he's reading them.
You're okay. You'll give me permission. I'm
Yes.
just going to read 3 of them
Yes.
to 1132 because after that, I don't need to read it.
And you know their texts. Could have been Telegram. Could have been something.
All
like
I
that.
have is Signal. You can check that too.
Andrew
I only have
shouldn't do
Signal.
this. I think this is
Telegram
bad
I used
play
in
by
Russia.
Andrew.
And that was a downloaded for
I'll
Russia.
take your word for it.
Yeah.
Then-
I don't need to like. I
Okay.
deeply care about this case. I don't need to
I
pretend
get
to
it.
know
If you
stuff that
deeply
I
care
don't
about
know.
the case, I
Yeah.
just, I have my other question is about
Mhm.
the steakhouse receipt.
You just said that you were done asking all your
Nothing, just so
questions.
you know,
Yeah.
nothing there.
There. I don't
Yeah. Do you
need to
have the
that.
steakhouse receipts? My question.
I have said several times that I have never said I have the receipt for the steakhouse. I have said the person who's working on that story is going to be forthcoming with the receipt. And that was what I was responding to. And he then dropped the receipt. He redacted elements of it. And I said, stay tuned. He's the one working on that story.
Okay. So you,
I
you
never-
haven't actually confirmed that Robinson was at that steakhouse.
All I did, as I said earlier in this conversation, was I spoke to the owner when I broke that story. I think it was back in January. I spoke to the owner, understood what had happened, and that there was a receipt. That's it. That's the extent of what I shared is what happened.
The steakhouse
Okay,
said that
so-
there wasn't.
To be clear, there's no receipt. You
No,
don't-
I just did the opposite. I said there is
well,
a
you
receipt.
don't have a copy of the receipt.
The receipt was published online.
Yeah, right. With blurred
The
out.
person working on this story
Yeah.
that blurred that out
Mhm.
is what I was referring to when I said stay tuned and keep following his stuff, because he went to go do what I hadn't done, which was he interviewed the actual server.
So there's no evidence that Tyler was at that steakhouse.
I would say the receipt with his debit card number, it would be some hard evidence.
I have the official statement from the State House. Official statement from Cowboy Smokehouse / Steakhouse. Based on the information currently available to us, we have no evidence establishing whether Tyler Robinson was at our restaurant around September 10th of 2025. We have responded truthfully to those who have questioned us based on the information available at the time. We have fully cooperated and will continue to cooperate with the authorities conducting this investigation. Because it's an active matter, we cannot and will not comment further. That is what they put out on their website, July 18th. I hope they pulled the receipt for that. Oops.
If that
I
is-
agree with that,
Yeah,
but-
so that's it. But you're questioning me.
But is there, as of right now,
He paid. If you're asking me, did he pay with a credit or debit card? The answer is yes.
No. Is there proof that that was actually his debit card that he paid with?
I think you should follow the person that is
Nope.
behind that story.
Well,
It's
the
more
reason I'm
something
asking you is because you always include it in your timeline that he traveled to the steakhouse.
Yeah, we've been building a timeline with things that we
Mhm.
feel are
But is there any actual
Utah 1102
evidence?
approved. I think speaking
Yeah.
to the owner, knowing that there's a receipt, seeing the
Mhm.
receipt is good enough to put on
But-
our timeline.
But the receipt itself, the question I always had about it is, couldn't you just call the merchant? Like, if I've ever had a merchant account, I just
Mhm.
call the merchant
Well-
account processor and say, "What's the name on this?"
Yeah, I would stay tuned. I feel that having spoken to the owner, that the evidence is compelling enough to put onto my personal timeline of
Mhm.
what took place on that day. That's where it's gonna stay. And if it gets debunked, I'm happy to take it off. If
Mhm.
that's what you mean, that's how an investigation works. Like I said, I did more than enough. It would definitely pass the test by the Utah 1102 rule, for sure, for certain. I've
To be
done-
submitted as hearsay.
well, yeah, beyond that, because they
Yeah,
didn't even
but-
have receipts. They were like, Bob told
But
me
the
this.
question is, the receipt itself, it has not been verified to have been Tyler
Yeah, I just want to
Robinson's,
say you're
right?
holding me to a higher standard than you are.
I'm not even holding it.
in
I'm
the
just
prosecution.
asking specifically.
Yeah, I've been very forthcoming. I've told exactly
Mhm.
what happened. I spoke to the owner. I got the tip, and
So
I
should that be
chased
added
it down.
in an official timeline that
It's
you
in
give?
my timeline. It's my show, and we can add and subtract what we want, and we do. If
You
we
can
get
do
something
what you
wrong,
want, sure, but
Well, I
I'm
just wanted to
asking,
make sure.
should you include a thing that you know hasn't actually been verified to be Tyler Robinson's?
yes, you should. If we're trying to build a timeline, you should.
You don't think that falls
And then
under?
you should remove it if someone somehow debunks it. But I think that there is very strong evidence that is where he was, and
Not
that
What's the
is,
strong evidence? Just the two people who said that they saw him?
you know, I'm actually all good with being. I feel like
Okay.
I've sufficiently answered your question about how I got
All
the
right, fair enough.
information, what happened next. Would the next stage of this investigation being somebody accessing his, knowing what his debit card was and confirming it? Yes. And I do believe that that will happen. If it does not happen and it gets debunked, I'll remove it from my personal timeline that I share on my
It
show.
literally
officer,
did.
the
It got debunked like a month ago. I have to pull up this receipt now because it's driving me fucking crazy. And I'm sorry, but Andrew's team needs to be like way on top of these receipts. Here's the receipt from the smokehouse. Official statement. This is what they put out on their own Facebook. Yet somehow the biggest detective in the world, Candace Owens, just missed this evidence. Based on the information currently available to us, we have no evidence establishing whether Tyler Robinson was at our restaurant around September 10th of 2025. I don't understand. Let me debate her. I swear. I just
First officer that was up on the roof.
Mhm.
Do you remember his name?
Officer Bagley.
Yeah. What was his first name?
Christopher.
Christopher. When Christopher got up on the roof, you talk a lot about how his camera died.
Well, he talked a lot about that during
Yeah,
the
about his
preliminary
camera
hearing.
died.
Yeah.
Do you think that he planted that screwdriver up there?
No.
No. Who do you think planted it?
If we're just going on am I allowed to have an opinion?
Of course.
At this stage, I would say that I don't buy his assertion
have
on the stand that he
300K?
didn't
No.
check to see if anybody went onto the rooftop before he got up there. I do think that it's possible, it's at least plausible that the screwdriver was planted. I don't believe him. What I can say strongly is that his cam died at just the right time. His body cam died at just the right time. I think that, as you were just grilling me about whether or not I had got the merchant receipt for a debit card,
Erica planted
that
it.
kind of makes difficult that we just have to sort of trust that a screwdriver was found and we don't have any should be evidence of a police body cam. But like I said, you accept that stuff and then are like, did you call the merchant and get like, it just seems like you
Well, I'm not adding.
hold,
I'm
like
not
I said,
adding
you
this
hold the
to
prosecution to
Well,
a
wait a
state to a
second.
bit a higher standard
I'm
than
not
you do to
adding
people.
unconfirmed evidence to an official timeline that I'm putting out either.
What do you mean an official timeline? This is my
Well, this is
timeline. I made it at home.
So then it would be official to your show.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, great. So then your official timeline, Candace Owens' official timeline,
Yeah.
includes a steakhouse stop
Mhm.
that has not actually been confirmed at all.
Well, yeah, it hasn't even been discussed by the prosecution, so it's not like you're debunking that it happened.
Well, there's no evidence for it. There's no good evidence for it at all. There's no camera there. And the steakhouse receipt itself has never been confirmed to be Tyler Robinson's.
I'm assuming this is just like a talking point they gave you, and you got to like keep pushing this, or like
I've been
'cause
following it very closely on X.
the receipt. You weren't even following the charges of Tyler Robinson, but you really
You
wanted to
think
know.
that
I've been
because-
following it
do you
very
think that
closely on
because-
X.
Wait, you think
I'm calling owners of
do you know
steakhouses
that-
and having a
wait,
conversation. You're following Congo
Yeah,
on
I
X.
literally followed the entire trial or the preliminary live. I was live with an attorney. We covered all of it. You think because I have a momentary or lapse where I'm like, oh, it's murder? No, it's aggravated murder. Come on.
You didn't know any of the
That's
charges.
splitting
You
hairs.
didn't. No, that's not splitting. It means you didn't follow the preliminary hearing at all.
No, it doesn't
Like
mean
you
that
don't
at
know
all.
any of
That's
the charges that are
ridiculous.
against him. When this is like getting literally to the crux,
Oh,
aggravated
man,
murder versus
it's
murder.
This is a hard pivot from Candace. Sorry, people are saying my mic is like really loud. Hopefully it's better. This is a huge pivot by Candace because she hasn't shown receipts. She's actually asking Andrew to prove a negative here, which is an illogical fallacy. She has to prove the positive claim that Tyler Robinson is there and actually show a receipt for that evidence. She has not shown a receipt for that. She, in fact, hasn't shown a single receipt for positive evidence other than just saying what the charges to the case are. And so she's going to manipulate the conversation by saying, well, you didn't know what the charges were. So that means that everything else that comes out of your mouth is invalid. It's a typical debate tactic.
It's ridiculous.
A death sentence.
And not only that, let's point this out. One of the major things here is that this is your official timeline.
It's mine.
Yes. Who else could it be? Who else? There would be Candace
What's your
Owens'
issue?
I just
timeline.
don't know what his
What's your issue
issues with my timeline.
What's your issue with that?
Well, so the issue is that the entirety of the evidence revolves around two people who claim that he was there
Mhm.
and supposedly a receipt. There's supposedly a receipt where Tyler Robinson paid for his steak and his soft drink. No alcohol, right? No alcohol, right? You know nothing about the case. But anyway, this particular receipt They could have called the merchant account, confirmed it, this type of thing. To date, this receipt has only the blurred information on it that would actually give you the information to confirm whose receipt it is. We have to date, nobody has confirmed that this was actually Tyler Robinson's receipt. And yet inside of Candace Owens' timeline, which she states over and over again, when she says, this is the longest 13 hours, this is 13 and a half hours, the requirement for about what, roughly 5.5 or 6 hours of that is that he went to the steakhouse. And that's not been confirmed at all. Not even a little bit.
I feel like saying that I spoke to the owner of the steakhouse is me, like, not just being on X looking at opinions, but actually doing the legwork. And that's why like I said, if you think this builds up a rapport with your audience and makes you seem like a serious person, we don't have to keep belaboring the point here. I feel like I've demonstrated that I did as much as I could to confirm this when it came in. I spoke to the owner of the restaurant, obviously took down everything he said, noted that there was in fact a receipt that he pulled. That receipt that was
oh shit my bad, I only wanted to pause it. I don't think Andrew is pushing back enough on hearsay. Every time she says that she spoke to somebody over the phone, I would just objection hearsay. That's out. You don't like hearsay evidence, we can't use hearsay evidence, so we have to throw the hearsay out the door. I'm really surprised that Andrew Wilson hasn't pushed back enough on her constantly using hearsay as evidence.
Was published is real. A debit card and a credit card was used. If for some reason somebody misidentified something down the line, or we find out it's a different Tyler Robinson, I'm happy to remove it from my timeline. But for right now, I think that there's enough under the Utah 1102 rule for me to keep it there. I don't really think we need to keep going into circles about this receipt. It's my timeline.
I don't know why the 1102 rule would apply here for your
because
timeline.
You will constantly cite things that are said in that courtroom that have less evidentiary support than me contacting and speaking with the owner of the restaurant. It's not like I dreamed it, as to use your expression. So it's in my timeline, and I'm going to keep it there if that's
sure.
Cool.
You can keep whatever you want there.
Okay.
I'm just saying that there's no evidence he was ever there.
Okay, thank you.
No hard evidence anyway. Yeah, I'm fine with closing.
Okay, so the last thing we're going to do before we go into ad break, right after this will be final thoughts. I'll be asking both of you if anything on your opinion.
All right, we'll skip through all the ads, and then I'll cover everything that I possibly can with my lineup before we close out today. So because James O'Keefe just dropped all of his stuff that him and Cam Higbee did, I believe, I forget which state they're in, whether it's like Minnesota or
Andrew
Michigan.
Fan. Candace, great. But did anything change your mind? Did you watch and say, you know what, I had this position over here. This would be an interesting commentary to hear. And of course, for all the people that are watching, I was just whispering to them here before we wrap it up. I think whether you're a fan of Andrew or not, whether you're a fan of Candace or not, nobody can dispute the fact that these guys agreed to sit down and talk live. Others were thinking this was pre-recorded. This is not pre-recorded, just so everybody knows. This is purely live. This is a little bit scarier than pre-recorded, because pre-recorded can do edits. So whether you agree with them or not, let's make sure we respect both of them for having this sit down. And before the final thoughts, I want to make sure you guys hear that from me as well, for inviting me here as well.
Of course.
I do know one day, I think it was last week, you sent a message on one of our accounts. You said, can I talk to Patrick? We got on the call. You said, Patrick, can you moderate this? And then I said, great, let's do this. And so before we wrap up, final thoughts, I'll come to you first.
Yeah, she had nothing. Just nothing. For all of her claims of Patsy, nothing. She didn't have a single claim. She didn't have a single solid piece of evidence. She had no positive evidence Israel's involved in anything. No positive evidence that France is involved in anything. No positive evidence TPUSA is involved in anything. No positive evidence that Erica Kirk is involved in anything. When I ask her about her claims about Erica Kirk, yeah, it's just funning. It's just funning, you know? Or, yeah, I do think that she needs to sit down and ask some questions, or answer some questions. But you know what? I don't even know if she has. Like, maybe she has. I have no idea. Yes, I'm going to have an official timeline with unconfirmed evidence. That's just fine. hey, it's hearsay. If that's good enough for the state, it's good enough for me. But my biggest problem with the state is that they're admitting all this hearsay. It's like she's a contradiction
I
machine.
agree with you.
On top
DVD
of
was
all of
horrible.
this, the thing that I wanted to get
100%.
out of
Thanks, man.
this more than anything else was to just demonstrate one thing. Yes, it's true. I'm not perfect on the case. I'm not going to ever pretend that I am, and never did. But what has been made very clear to me is that there's nobody with an alternative theory that has any evidence for it at all. None.
Mhm.
Zero. And the continuous kind of expression,
Thank you, Dino.
we're running
Thank
an
you so much, man.
investigation.
Appreciate you.
What kind of investigation builds a timeline out on a receipt that they don't even confirm? What kind of investigation tries to make these bold claims that Israel's involved and France is involved and all these different players are involved and never shows any evidence? We're just asking questions. It's again, like I said in my opening, it's always intuition, my feelings, how I feel about things, how I think about things. Andrew, how many times you hear this today? Andrew, you can't tell me how I'm supposed to think. Yeah, nobody's trying to tell you how to think. But you should rationally come to your conclusions based on evidence and facts.
Yep.
And the truth is that 90% of what you're saying is simply intuition based. It came to me in a dream. It's intuition. Almost none of it has any evidence at all. Just
100%.
I'm skeptical because these people over here said things, and that makes me skeptical. It's like, but no evidence. Note this to the audience, to everybody watching. You might hate my guts. That's fair enough. I get that. I'm not the most likable man. I understand that too. But there was nothing. I mean, no evidence at all that Tyler Robinson was a patsy that was ever put forward by Candace this entire debate. Now, maybe you could say that we stalemated when it came to whether or not Robinson did it. She says, I found the evidence convincing. Or unconvincing. Andrew says he found the evidence convincing. Okay, fair enough. Maybe you can't do too much about that, but there was nothing. She had nothing for Robinson being a patsy, nothing for any of her conspiracies, not a zero, zilch. And she backed away on a bunch of them. This is the first time I think she's ever really backed away from the Twigs thing. First time I've heard her back away from the Erica thing, back away from TPUSA, being very cautious about making any of those claims now. Whereas on her show, much more likely to be making those claims. So she just had nothing the entire debate. Zero.
Candace.
Well, I think that is quite a conclusion. Admitting somewhere, maybe we stalemated, it probably signifies what I've been saying from the beginning, that you didn't feel that you were strong on the actual facts and the evidence, which I was willing to engage with you. I wanted to go over the screwdriver. I wanted to go over the towel, the things that you've mentioned, and you wanted to then move the conversation into a defense of Erica Kirk and her character, and what I've said about Erica, which is my opinion. And I have not edited that opinion after discussing with you. I would like to extend a compliment to you for being willing to sit down and to have the conversation. I still walk away feeling that the people who are jumping on the bandwagon about this case don't care about this case. They don't care about Erica Kirk. It tends to be follow that they take a meeting with Turning Point USA and they come out and suddenly have a lot of junk to say about Candace Owens. And I do want to also stress that Turning Point USA tried to pepper him with something as a surprise. He showed clips that were meant to be a surprise. I did no such thing. I stressed to PBD from the beginning that I was grateful he was taking this on and that I wanted this to be a clean debate because I believe I can win this on the merits. And I believe that I did win this fully on the merits by engaging the evidence of what has happened. I do still believe that there is more evidence which supports that there are more people involved and that Tyler Robinson has been set up, and that none of the evidence that was presented was in any way overwhelming, which is why I think you wanted to move to end that discussion quickly and to speak to me about France and to talk about this Panguitch receipt and my timeline. I want to remind people that a lot of the at-home investigators, which you were open to, as you called them, internet sleuths. I think it was on a show that you did right after Charlie was assassinated that internet sleuths would solve this. This is the reason why Charlie, a year on, is still a conversation every single day trending on Twitter. I knew Charlie. I cared about Charlie. I care about finding out what the truth is here. My heart is in the right place. I think anybody who watches my show or even just watched this debate knows that if I get something wrong, I'll instantly correct it and own it. I'm not arrogant. I don't need to sit here and pretend that I didn't misspeak on the Lance thing. It hasn't been ruled out. But you saw that he just really wanted to hammer that point. You know, part of being a well-meaning person is to concede when you are wrong, to take something off a timeline when you know it's not right. And I would like to think that that is why I have earned the audience that continues to follow me, because they know my heart's in the right place, that I deeply cared about Charlie and I deeply care about the answers. I want to thank Andrew's team who are providing the fact checks. It's a very small room that they're in. I want to, as always, thank my team who worked really hard to make this happen and flip this set. And to you, PBD, just for being a great moderator. I think very fair, letting us both speak and making sure that Andrew got out of this what he wanted, which was a little more than what I wanted. But I'm very content with how I dealt with this. And I trust, I don't need to convince the audiences with the magic trick of what they need to think about this debate. They can watch it and draw their own conclusions.
Beautiful. Fair from both of you. I think the audience won. And again, from the beginning, all of this is because of how much love and respect we have for Charlie Kirk, a great man that's no longer here with us.
How is this about love and respect for Charlie Kirk? Candace Owens says she cares about Charlie. But why are you trying to tear down his wife? Why are you attacking his wife? I just want to remind you that I'm surprised he did not bring this up. She made positive claims about Erica Kirk being involved in child trafficking in Romania, or human trafficking in Romania. Meanwhile, she defended to the teeth the Andrew Tate brothers, both the Tate brothers, on their actual charges. By the way, Erica Kirk has never been charged by Romania for what she's alleging. But Candace Owens vehemently defended the Tate brothers who were charged in Romania, saying that, oh, it's just a bullshit claim. It's a Me Too movement claim. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But why is it that you will say that very openly about Erica? So the claim is you care about Charlie, but tear down his wife. You care about Charlie, but tear down the organization that he built with his bare hands. You say Erica Kirk is not qualified to run TPUSA. Charlie Kirk was just a kid when he started up this organization. He just like turned 18, he started debating. He put together this organization. He didn't really have all that much experience at all. He just started a business and ran with it. So exactly what type of experience is she supposed to have that makes her qualified to run this? Meanwhile, Candace effectively runs a couple of her own organizations with zero experience. So I wish that I could have actually done this debate. I think Andrew Wilson probably should have spent more time doing the research and being prepared for the counter arguments. I'll say that's my one criticism of him. Someone said to pull up the poll from PBD. I don't know if we can even find the poll. Do you guys know where the poll is at? If not, I'm going to go into some of the other stuff that I have to talk about today.
It's in Discord right now.
It is? Okay, let's see. Let's go over to Discord. Oh, we have a couple of different ones. Let me see. How do I share this the best? I need to remove this. And we will share. Stop screen share. We'll right.
Off.
Oh, you're talking about on my live?
No, for the Candace debate with Mr. Wilson.
Yeah. So Andrew 1 backed him 57%. We have Andrew 1 backed Candace 5.2%. We have Candace 1 backed her 26.5%. But this is also on Steven Crowder's X account. Let's see. So you have Candace at 54.3% and Andrew at 45.7%. Now, do I think that there was some like issues there that I think Andrew kind of missed that he could have hammered home on? Absolutely. And let me be honest with you. If Candace Owens is making the positive claim that there is a patsy, I would be provide me the evidence of the alternative person that is there. Who is the alternative killer. You need to provide me that evidence. You also need to provide me video proof or any like positive proof evidence that somebody entered into Tyler Robinson's home and stole his pew and planted it. Do you have that evidence? If not, then it's a bullshit claim because you can't substantiate it. He should have pushed back a lot more on the hearsay that she was claiming, because every time that she brought up a source, well, I talked to this person said this, that is hearsay. That's not actually positive evidence. I would have sat there all day and waited for the receipts. You said that you emailed Tulsi Gabbard's department. Okay, I'll wait here all day. You pull me that email. I want to read it. You say that you texted this person and your source at the FBI or the U.S. Marshal Service. Okay, I'll wait all day. Why don't you go ahead and call up that person? He can be anonymous and say everything that he wants to say. Or you can show me your text messages between that person. You can redact their name. Anonymous sources are completely bunk. Just so we're clear, this is the same reason why we don't trust the mainstream media, is it's always an anonymous source that they can't reveal because they need to protect their source. Okay, well, it's bullshit. That's trust me, bro. So I really hope that people understand that Candace Owens didn't really provide any proof of her claims. She also walked back the claim and refused to say positively that she thinks that Erica Kirk and TPUSA are involved in Charlie Kirk's murder. She refused to do that, which I find hilarious. All right, so that concludes that. I want to get through some quick things within my lineup, covering some of the politics that has happened. I also want to point out the fact that Project Constitution, which is a follower of Candace Owens, by the way, put out that people who are in Candace Owens' inner circle are communicating with Z online. Which, if you don't know who Z is, she is the headline like orchestrator and producer of the Unfuck America tour. That is what she did. She tried to get Dean and Parker on board, but she was kind of ousted from Dean and Parker's circle because she did microaggressions with people who are of color. So she got ousted. They refused to actually platform her. So right here, he provides a receipt. Okay, and I'm going to read this off to you. What the fuck is your problem? He responds, what do you mean? They respond, take down the post of Shelby. You didn't even ask Brandy and I if you could say that. We're both beyond pissed. That's not your information to share. She's a very sweet girl and freaked out when she accidentally told us that information, and we promised her. And then Brandy accidentally let it slip that we were on the phone with Z. Z being a leftist running the Unfuck America tour. He responds, no, I can't do that. I will not stand by and allow pertinent information to be withheld and guilty people to be protected. I respect you and like you a lot, but I am not in this for friendships. I am here for the truth. And then he responds, Z didn't tell me, by the way. So all of these black pillars are working with leftists to bring down TPUSA. Yet it's TPUSA that is betraying everybody and not these black pillars who are trying to take down the only thing that is holding up influence for the right, for the youth, by the way. It was the right's dream to get a foothold on college campuses, to talk to kids, to de-brainwash what they are hearing on college campus. They're trying to ruin that. So I find it very sus and very suspicious that they're communicating with Z. I think that's crazy. Now, I want to play the situation.
It's almost like ideological subversion.
Well, you want ideological subversion? Here's another one for you. So on TikTok, we have influencers that are posting the exact same thing. And the headline of it is just about the same exact thing, just a couple of words are switched around.
I was talking to my friend from Europe about the cost of living in Ohio and just how everything has gotten so unaffordable, and he was literally shocked. He was like, but Ohio's a cheap state, I thought.
Genuinely just got off the phone with one of my European friends, and he was in complete disbelief when I told him the prices here in New York, because I genuinely can't believe them either.
My cousin
from Scotland just got in touch with me and how the price of living has gone up like crazy. And he was all like, but you live in Ohio, like you don't really have to worry about it, right? Like that's pretty cheap.
In New York, and I was talking to my friend in France the other day, and I was telling her I literally can't afford my rent.
I was like, yeah, it used to be, but
So there's one. Let me pull up the second one. Okay. This is how social media influence campaigns go. These random influencers that have very little following, they post clips out saying the exact same message, just slightly tweaking it. Here's another one.
Expensive it is to live in America, especially Texas. I was talking to my friends from Sweden and they were like, what do you mean people work 2 to 3 jobs just to afford rent? Don't forget car insurance, your car payment, and $5 a gallon for gas because you have to drive everywhere. Oh, and the cherry on top is that health insurance is ridiculously expensive and you still have to pay a small fortune if you get sick or injured. Wait, but I thought MAGA and Trump were supposed to make everything super affordable. Dude, no, everything is expensive and about a third of Texas, about 5 million people, are making less than $20 an hour. It used to be affordable, but not anymore. We can't afford to give people a better quality of life like health insurance or higher wages. You know what we do have money for though? Another pointless war that nobody except Republicans and Trump wanted.
I was explaining to my friend that rent in Atlanta is insane, and he literally said, I thought Georgia was cheap. I actually laughed because I didn't know what to say. People assume that if you work hard and even pick up a second job, you'll be fine. But that is not the reality for a lot of people anymore. Meanwhile, MAGA Republicans keep on telling us the economy is great, but groceries, gas, and housing keep getting more expensive.
I was explaining to my friend from Italy how I literally cannot afford my rent anymore. And she was like, oh,
You guys get the drift. I don't have to play every single video, but it's the exact same message, and the words that are laid out within the title are almost exactly the same. So this is how social media influences people to think a certain way, and they keep repetitively putting out the same exact message. By the way, you can look at the following of these people. They have almost no following. They either have maybe less than 100 followers. This one at the very end has about 2,000. That's about it. Go
So
ahead.
Millie, I would just tell you is I owned part of a business that did marketing for different products. And one of the things that we would do is use what's called micro influencers. And instead of going to large influencers with big, broad audiences, this company had particularly realized that to market products, it was better if you had a bunch of people with small followings because their followers were more loyal. But also, if you have a bunch of small followers saying it instead of one big influencer, it hits the algorithm better, which means when you do finally pay a big influencer to get behind it or somebody sees a trend, they might make a video organically about it, agreeing with somebody is saying and use it as evidence for a product is better. This is one of the things that I would say is like kind of concerning because that's where you're seeing all this effort coming from. And it kind of goes back to, when it comes to the DNC being in debt, right, for how much they're spending. I'm curious to where that's going and how it's being spent. And I believe, wasn't it like a few weeks ago where the list got released based off of different influencers and, what their audiences were like?
Yeah, I mean, I think we need a total list of receipts of where the DNC is spending their money at. I don't think they should be able to hide that. But I would definitely grant that they're spending a lot of money on social media campaigns, especially with people like Dean Parker and Harry Sisson. Like Chris Mowley, not really. I don't think his following is as big, but I only have a little bit of time left, so I really want to get into this James O'Keefe thing, but I agree with you that that's likely happening out of the DNC. I think they're spending a lot of money on that.
All right, I'm going to hop off for because I have to go in a meeting, but I will see you later.
Okay, man. I'll catch you later. I'm going to play a little bit of this and then jump off. I have about half an hour to finish everything that I need to get through, but thanks for hanging out, man. I'll catch you later.
All right. Yeah.
Vouching for 7 other Muslims at a Minneapolis polling booth. We're going in to this location, and I'm going to say that I'm vouching for them. The name is William Lawrence. The question about the vouching program, vouching. I can vouch for them, but they are not registered. That's okay. That's fine. Can I bring 5 more from up to 8 people? Okay, that's a good thing. We go back and we get Krishna and Ernesto and Mohammed. In Minnesota, you can show up on election day and can vouch for up to 8 unregistered voters. Members of the Justice League dress up in traditional Muslim attire, including a transgender wearing a burqa, and put this vouching law to an extreme test on primary day, August 11th.
Gonna be a baller, shot caller, 20-inch blades, only Impala.
The vouching.
You're vouching for.
I vouch for them.
Oh, great.
Is that okay?
Yes.
How does that work?
Well, if you're all in the same precinct,
Yes.
and you are already registered, which it looks like you are, then you can vouch for them as ID for them.
Oh, good. She says to me, I say they do not need ID. She says, you are the ID.
He is the ID.
See, I am the ID. And no ID needed. I just vouch for them.
Well,
It's
you're
good.
the ID.
I am the ID. It's good. How many people may I vouch for?
What is it? It's
8?
I thought it was 6.
I can vouch for 8 people. 8 people, no ID. We come right back. Thank you. Most poll workers we visited were willing to let us vouch with no questions asked, even when presented with the most absurd situation imaginable. While other poll workers did take issue with our investigation, revealing their awareness that something about this vouching system is deeply flawed or wrong. Yet for some reason, they don't want us to expose it.
Can't have her see me.
Get down.
I'm a 20-inch crawler, blades on Impala, diamond rock waller.
In Minnesota, voters can vouch for up to 8 of their unregistered friends. At the polling place, a registered voter from the same precinct signs an oath confirming that they personally know the voter lives there. This allows someone without ID to register and vote. And employees of residential facilities may vouch for an unlimited number of facility residents to vote at the facility's address. That's right, an unlimited number. While proponents emphasize that the policy expands ballot access for recent movers and senior citizens, critics view it as a potential for fraud. For example, if a voucher were to lie on this contract and allow 8 of his ineligible friends to vote, and the results of that election are announced on the same day, what happens when the oath is further investigated and it is discovered that those vouched for votes shouldn't have been counted? The results of the election will have already been announced and enacted by that point. This document shows that the election workers simply circle a number of the vouchees. There's no other identifying information. And Scott Pressler from the organization Early Vote Action says there is no list of these vouchee voters anywhere. When he requested them from areas like Duluth, St. Paul, Minneapolis, and St. Cloud, Minnesota, Pressler says they are nameless, faceless, and recordless. So we dressed in full traditional Muslim attire. Went in to ask if we can vouch for 8 of our unregistered friends, just to test the limits of this law and the willingness of election judges to go along with it. Only Muslim women traditionally wear the full face covering. So Cam Higbee was in disguise as my transgender Muslim wife.
So he's wearing the top, so basically he's not supposed to shake hands with a man. So what he does is once a man tries to shake hands, he has to do it.
Yeah, he's stipulated that with like say these are ribs right here.
Oh, no, I don't shake hands with
You're going to be the female, or am I the voucher this
You're the
time?
voucher. We're the
So
vouchees.
I'm William Pomerantz. I am William Pomerantz. This is my.
That's great.
I vouch for people.
Yes, great.
I vouch for people for the vouching system. I have 8 people come from my apartment. This is going to be ridiculous.
It's going to be great.
We're going in to this location, and I'm going to say that I'm vouching for them. The name is William Pomerantz. I'm talking about the vouching program. Yeah? Okay, here we go.
Checked in right there.
Hello, this is the vote. The name is William.
The last name?
Pomerantz.
And does that look correct?
That is the date of birth. The question about the vouching. It's about the vouching program. Yeah. Okay. If I vouch for them, I can vouch for them. This name has I registered, but they are not registered. That's okay. That's fine. Can I bring 5 more? From up to 8 people. So I go get the rest of them and come and they can vote today.
Yeah.
I can just vouch for them that they are registered. Yes.
Yeah. So
okay, that's a good thing. We go back and we get additional and
So no verification that these are actually US citizens. It's just trust me, bro. They're registered, they're good to go. Just, give them a ballot.
Ernesto and Mohammed, and we bring them here. We go get the other people and we come back.
Since you're already registered, you can vouch for up to 8 people.
I did not know this. I thought they can only vote one at a time.
Well, you each only get one vote, but you can vouch for up to 8.
That is great. I'll go do that. We go pick up the rest of the people. We come, and then all 8, I'll vouch for them.
No.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I'll see you. Thank you. We go get Mohammed. We come back. Success. We go in. I say, the name is William Pomerantz, and they tell me that I can vouch for up to 8 people. I say, we go back. We get Romish. We get Mohammed. We get Rishnu. We come back. We vote. They say, no problem. We can vouch for up to 8 people. And we're going to go get the voters and come back, and then we shall vote. No ID needed. They're not registered. No problem, they say. I said, not registered. They said, no problem. You can vote if you're not registered. So that worked. Let's try it again.
Let's do it again.
No ID. No ID. They do not have ID. It's a problem.
They don't want to ID anyone.
That's the
it's
biggest
obvious.
I think is that you can, as long as you know their name and their address, you can show up and vote in their name. No verification required.
But it looks like we may have a problem.
You want me to ask? Should I get up now?
What we could do is just reposition.
He's gonna go alert somebody.
Does he work there?
And the white shirt told him about us.
I can't have her
You
see me.
that? Get down.
Oh yeah, they're recording.
Get down, get down, get down, get down, get down.
She's radioing somebody. Probably think we're ICE.
There's a piece of paper here. Additional ways to register: vouching by registered voter who can confirm your address. A voter can vouch for you. The voucher must live in your precinct, personally know you. I can vouch for up to 8 people, no problem. We're going to go in. We're going to ask, can we vouch for 8 people without identification? Home of the camels. I am at home with the camels. Oh, camel. Hello, good day to you.
Good to
The last name is Shimizup. They're with me.
They're not voting?
They with the vouching. Yeah.
Vouching for.
I vouch for them.
Oh,
Is that okay?
yes.
How does that work?
Well, if you're all in the same precinct,
Yes.
and you are already registered, which it looks like you are, then you can vouch for them as ID for them.
Oh, good. If they do not have their ID, is that okay? I vouch for them. How many people may I vouch for?
What is it? It's
8?
I thought it was 6.
I can vouch for 8 people. Oh, good. We can go pick up Mohammed and Ranuzu in the car outside.
Someone asked if Cam was in a hijab. Yes, he is. So essentially what James O'Keefe is proving here is that you can go to Minnesota and vouch for up to 8 people to vote in an election without ID, which I think is crazy. It should never be legal for that to happen in the first place. I want to run through this rather quickly because I very much have a short period of time to cover this. I want to go over some of the Kamala Harris interview and the things that she said. This is funny because the left is saying that the DSA isn't a real thing. They don't intend to run on DSA talking points. And then Kamala Harris somehow gets there on the DSA talking points.
Structural change. I think we need to revisit the efficacy of the Electoral College. I think we need to expand the Supreme Court and look at reforms. So much of what we are dealing with right now, back to the point of just a violation of civil rights and all that your parents and mine fought for, the Supreme Court decisions by this court that was basically at this point hand-selected by Donald Trump. Structural change.
So I find it funny that the left often talks about like Donald Trump is trying to change the Constitution. He's infringing on the Constitution. Then the left openly admits that they're trying to do exactly that, especially with abolishing the Electoral College, especially with trying to pack the Supreme Court. All of it is to rig the system to their benefit.
That part of the pain of this moment, Stacey, is these so-called leaders who are pushing this kind of this narrative about who is a legitimate American citizen among American citizens. Yeah. This blood and soil narrative that's being pushed at the highest levels of our government to suggest that, once again, to harken back to times when it was explicit that there was a hierarchy among Americans and who was superior and whom was inferior, all citizens. And that's what's happening right now.
So I find it really funny that she's doing this with Stacey Abrams. This is like two losers coping about the direction of the country. Stacey Abrams lost her election in Georgia, and Kamala Harris lost her election to be president of the United States. I don't even think leftists even like Kamala. She didn't even win a primary with the vote of the people. She couldn't get that. 0. She actually dropped out in 2020 because she couldn't secure that. I do love that she likes to talk about, superiors in the system. That doesn't exist anymore. What superiority exists? We passed a bunch of civil rights bills in order to correct that situation. So the left is still floundering on what to be progressive on. Wait, I already played that one. Hold on.
And, and now we're obviously in a place where, especially the Calais decision being the most recent example, where they are not only rolling back these rights, they have essentially, with the Calais decision, backdoored racism through an argument about politics and have essentially reinstated a Jim Crow system in America. And
okay, how is it reinstating Jim Crow? These people, they always go for softball interviews where nobody really pushes back on their dumb logic. If you're racial gerrymandering specifically for a certain group, an ethnicity group or a racial group, that would be doing Jim Crow. The whole portion that we eliminated Jim Crow is so we didn't have racial gerrymandering. Yet they're advocating for racial gerrymandering. Make it make sense. They're trying to perpetuate that we're back in like this racist momentum of the 1800s. It's not what's happening. Give me a second. Let me push this back.
And I know you've been spending a lot of time in the South recently. Yeah. You've been to Tennessee and Louisiana and North Carolina. Yeah. And what I tell people when they want to understand what authoritarianism can look like in the U.S., I say look south. We have lived under soft authoritarianism, I would say, since 1776.
Soft authoritarianism in the South. If you truly believe that, and Stacey Abrams truly believed she was living under soft authoritarianism, why do you live in the South? You have plenty of money. Pack your stuff up and go move to a state that you feel is not authoritarian. Why don't you go live in the North if that's what you truly believe? They don't believe the shit that is coming out of their mouth. Because chat, if I asked you if you were living under an authoritarian state or a regime, you would leave if having the opportunity. Nobody is preventing her from leaving. She still stays there. Also want to point out all the things that they're complaining about, the racist rhetoric of Jim Crow, all of the slavery owning authoritarianism that was going on in the South. That was done by Democrats. It was the Democrats that did that. Are we just going to leave that out? You are voting for the party that did all of that. In fact, you're still voting for the party that is against human rights for infants in the womb. You're voting on topics like eugenics because arguably abortion is actually setting back Black women from having more Black babies that would actually bring about more diversity within the country. These are things that Margaret Sanger loved to promote. Yet they're still actively promoting it today. But they'll convince you that there's a party switch taking place here. That we somehow Republicans woke up and said, yeah, no, we'll be the bad guys today. We'll just switch. We'll you guys be the good guys and we'll be the bad guys. That makes zero sense.
I do think Democrats have some hurdles.
I want to ask you about these comments that Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez made when she was asked about some of the far left rhetoric that dominated the party around 2019 and 2020. You know, she kind of laughed it off and said that that was, quote, woke 1.0 was crazy, she said. The debate is obviously a major tension within the party of how to sort of reckon with those years. What do you make of the woke one was crazy comments?
You know, I'm not sure that I understand the context of it. I will say this about AOC, who I consider a friend. I think she's hugely talented.
So Adam Schiff says that AOC is hugely talented, but he really doesn't understand what she's saying. The left is trying to use manipulation tactics to convince you that they are actually more moderate now. They're not the extremist party that they were in 2020, while at the same time saying that they're a big tent and people like the DSA belong under their tent. They'll try to convince you of this. It's actually an oxymoron. Like, oh, big tent, big ideas, right? But like, we don't endorse what the DSA is saying. Yes, they do.
It's not an easy question. And frankly, I've got enough difficult questions at the federal level. But one thing that is not difficult for me, and that is there should be a wealth tax at the federal level. There should be a much more progressive tax code than the one we have. It's not an easy question.
So again, Democrats openly admitting that they want to raise your taxes. They're not even hiding this. They've said this so many times that the plan actually is to raise your taxes. And here's Al Saeed also admitting to the fact that he wants to raise taxes in order to support these big ticket items. And we're talking about trillions of dollars. And we're going to get into the breakdown here in a second. You have to raise taxes to afford this.
It is going to require taxes. And the question of who pays those taxes is an important question. There's a philosophical debate about how much of those taxes we would ask working Americans to pay. And I fall on the argument that I think it's important that from the political economy perspective, that everybody pays a bit in. Because when you look at conservative arguments for Social Security and Medicare, it almost always has to do with the fact that I paid into the system, ergo I take from the system. And I think that is a justification that's worth investing in here. It is going to require time.
Okay. So everybody includes all tax brackets. They know they're going to have to raise the tax on the bottom 50th percentile in order to sustain this. The wealthy don't have enough money to cover this. And now we're going to put into perspective how much this price tag is. And you can even go ask people who live in Canada and other socialist, or I guess social democracies is what I'll call them. If you ask them, they'll tell you that the cost for their taxes went up at the 50th percentile and under because everyone had to pay into the system.
Let's start with that price tag. How do you get to $200 trillion over 10 years? The number is absolutely staggering, and it breaks down into categories. It breaks down into promises on the DSA's wish list. Let's start with universal health care. Over a 10-year period, that's estimated to cost as much as $75 trillion. But we don't stop there. There's been talk of reparations. Add another $28 trillion to the wish list. How about a federal jobs guarantee? That's $60 trillion, potentially at the high end over 10 years. Now, if you add this all up, including housing for all, which is another $17 trillion, then you get to a high estimate of $211 trillion over 10 years. Bringing up the question again, who pays? Now, the DSA, it has an answer. The rich, big corporations. So let's look at reality. This lays out the high end and the low end estimates of the DSA's wish list costs. Now, if you taxed over a 10-year period all corporate profits, so you zeroed out corporate profits over a 10-year period, you'd bring in about $35 trillion. If you taxed the wealthiest in America at a rate of 40%, you'd bring in another $500 billion. If you confiscated all of their wealth, well, you bring in about $6.6 trillion. But I want to go even further because anybody on the left or a member of the DSA would be saying, I don't want to stop at 40%. So let's go further. What if you did what America did in the 1950s and 60s, and you implemented a tax rate of over 90%, we would still then only bring in about $2 trillion over 10 years. So what the DSA's wish list, its empty promises run into, is the hard, cold reality of math. You add all that together and you come nowhere near. Forget the high estimate of $200 trillion, but the low estimate of $71 trillion. So where do you go for the money? They go where they always end up going for the money, to you, the middle class. And then, of course, it's what do we look like? What's the country look like? What size of government are we dealing with? Right now, our government spending amounts to about 40% of gross domestic product. All right, the DSA's wish list agenda on that low end projection would take it to 57% of GDP. But the high end projection of more than $200 trillion over 10 years means that government spending would be 92% of GDP. That is a lot of government. That is actually a fundamental rewriting of the American economy and a fundamental rewriting of America.
The left hasn't really thought this through. We don't have enough money to sustain that. And in the effort to accomplish all these things, it will actually collapse the economy. Because once you start crippling these industries and making sure that you tax the shit out of them, they won't have enough capital to reinvest back into their business. And so the business will start collapsing because they don't have additional money to support them. I want to go into one of the left's biggest claims. This is stuff that I hear from Parker all day long about this UCLA study saying that, you know, cutting off USAID may end up unaliving 14 million people. Okay, this is the gaslighting the left is giving us. They're complaining about increase to the budget, but they want USAID back on. They're bitching about Israel while at the same time advocating that we spend a fuck ton of money in other countries. So anytime you debate these leftists on this exact talking point, I'm going to give you the utensils that you need to debunk this, okay? The first paragraph, a study co-authored by the UCLA Fielding School of Public Health, researchers find that a recent U.S. foreign aid cuts may lead to more than 14 million additional deaths globally by 2030, including more than 4.5 million children under 5. The important thing to debunk the left with is this word, may. They have no confirmation that this will actually happen. They are projecting that cuts to foreign aid are going to result in people being unalived. Yet we've had cuts to foreign aid for almost a year and a half now. So where is the evidence that they have provided that the recent cut in foreign aid has specifically resulted in people unaliving overseas? Yet throughout this entire study, they have not provided the evidence that that has actually occurred within a year and a half. They have not provided it. Zero. So when the left talks about affordability and they're going to make things great and they're going to handle the budget, I just want to remind you that their argument is they actually want to increase the budget to spend millions of dollars on foreign aid. Okay? Just, I want you to remember that. Meanwhile, okay, this has been the talking point from Dean and Parker, is that we should be more concerned with the alleged possibility of 14 million people being unalived. Meanwhile, they will ignore from the WHO, which they love the WHO. They will ignore that 73 million, okay, induced abortions take place worldwide each year. So we're supposed to worry about the possibility of 14 million people unaliving, but ignore the 73 million lives that they advocate to be taken every single year. This 1 year. Put that together within the 10-year metric that they put in, you're looking at a wild fucking number of people being unalived. This is why you have to call them out on their bullshit. And I hope that I can give you all the tools you need to debate the left on this, because it's a very easy debunk. Also want to pop into the crazy Blues Clues ad that Abdul Al Saeed posted out. This is corny as hell. I can't believe they did Blues Clues like this.
The mail, it never fails. It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes, I want to wail. Thanks, mailbox. We just got a letter. We just got a letter. We just got a letter. I wonder who it's from. Oh, it looks like my ballot. Brought to me by my Secretary of State. And with it, I can participate in democracy. The first day that I can turn this in is June 25th. It has to be postmarked by July 21st. Or I can drop it off up until Election Day, which is August 4th. Thanks, Secretary of State. Thanks, mailbox. Folks could do, we can't do.
Bruh. This was an attempt to get at the millennial generation because this is typically like our generation's TV shows. This isn't modern day youth's TV shows. This is how they're going to try to appeal for people to go out and do mail-in ballots. And it makes sense, right? Mail-in ballots are very easy to manipulate. It's very easy to end up getting 2 mail-in ballots that people have signed. If you've watched any of James O'Keefe's recent videos, he'll actually show you that during the 2020 situation, people were receiving 2 ballots and then actually having it signed. And he even asked these people, hey, are these your ballots? And they went, yes, but I don't recognize that as their signature. That's why I think we need to put an end to mail-in balloting. Now, let's go over Abdul's sister because she's been saying a bunch of unhinged shit on the internet.
The good news is we did our job. We protested. We marched. We wrote. We called. We sat in. We blockaded. And you know what? Everyone is listening to us. The American public agrees with us. And yet, the genocide continues. Why is that? Because we do not rule this country. We do not rule the world. The masses do not rule the world. There is a tiny class of greedy capitalists who run this entire world against our will.
Wait, are the Muslims not greedy capitalists? Because last time I checked, the Muslims are running almost the entire oil industry. I'm pretty sure a majority of OPEC is being ran by Muslim countries. So why don't you call out any of the Muslims in the Middle East for their control over oil, their monopoly over oil? They never protest about this bullshit. None of it.
We have reached the limit of what moral outrage can do. You know what we need now? We need power. The good news.
We need power. Fight the system. These are tired talking points. Is anyone fatigued yet? Here's another video
University
of
of Chicago. It's evil. Like, you know, it's a colonial landlord. Like, why would I put any of my political energy into this space? And I kind of had a little bit of disdain for like people who spent a lot of time doing that. And the genocide really collapsed that and made me realize that 2 things. One is that, well, my students needed me. So it was like, oh, I have to organize here to take care of my students who I do care about. But I also realized, and I think this is a painful lesson that a lot of us in the Palestine Solidarity Movement have been learning, is that we don't have power. We can shift the moral authority all we want, and we've won the moral question. Like that was the imperative that we've had. Done, check. Like, put Palestine in the national consciousness, we did it. You know, make people sympathetic to Palestine, teach the history, we did it. Like, now you have white boys on the north side of Chicago being like, hey man, free Palestine. I'm like, oh, okay, now did not see it coming, glad it's here. But what we don't have is power. And I think for me, the question of base building is about, I think the question that I'm asking myself and I'm asking you to ask yourself is, where can I actually build power? Turns out,
are we pretending like the Arabs in the Middle East have no power? The Arabs make up the mass majority of the Middle East, but somehow they're projecting that they don't have power. The Arabs have massive power. In fact, they have so much power that they control the oil industry. They control actually quite a bit of the world's reserve currency, because if they stop trading in US dollar, it would be a huge problem for us. But somehow we're trying to pretend that the Arabs are powerless. That's garbage. It's literal garbage. I want to talk about some of her tweets here, because this is, again, how unhinged the left is. She says, "Excuse me if I don't celebrate the transfer of stolen land from one colonizer to the other." Well, the Arabs colonized the whole of the Middle East. The Arabs originated from Saudi Arabia. Arabia itself is where they derive from. They're actually not native to the Levant, but they're fine with that. Try to figure out if I always hated fireworks or if I've recently become old. No, I just think you hate our independence. I think you just hate the 4th of July. Lord, please help me have empathy and compassion for people who are just now discovering America is pretty evil place and hates indigenous, black, brown, trans, queer, and poor people. Okay, then why did you migrate here? If you actually think America is all of these things, why did you migrate to America? You're bitching about a country that you chose to come live in. This is crazy. If it weren't attached to genocide, Thanksgiving would be a lovely holiday. People gathering to declare gratitude and eat a meal without the need to exchange gifts or buy anything besides food. You can't just be thankful for the things that you've done and be thankful for your family. God forbid you do that. I was anxious that my 5-year-old niece has been fed some settler colonial propaganda at school. So I asked her what they learned about Thanksgiving. Her response was turkeys. I hope the whole world can rise against the US empire. This begs the question why we allow immigrants into our country that fundamentally hate the United States and its entire existence. Why do we allow these people into our country? They're not actually producing anything good. In fact, this woman teaches at a college. She's a college professor. She's part of the reason why you send your kids to college and they come back spewing a bunch of communist, jihadi bullshit. This is Abdul Al Said's sister. Now I got to get into quickly the situation with James Talrico. And I'm sorry that I'm rushing through the entire lineup and giving quick commentary. It's because I didn't have enough time to really unpack everything slowly. So it's just going to have to be sort of rushed. And I'm sorry about that.
And then the last one is maybe the most insidious. It was a new state curriculum that would teach Christian Bible stories as historical fact, as the only truth to our youngest students. And I mean kindergarten, first graders. These are kids who aren't able to think for themselves yet. They haven't formed their own worldviews. And to push propaganda, to push indoctrination on those youngest students is deeply immoral. And then the last.
Okay. This is why I call James Talrico out for being a fake Christian. Okay. If you believe in the Bible, you believe in Christianity, the Bible is the truth. Scripture is the truth. And so now he's trying to tell people as a Christian that the Bible is propaganda and that we shouldn't, as Christians, teach the Bible to children. I've said this from the beginning. This man is not an actual Christian. He is a fake Christian. He doesn't believe in the Bible. He doesn't believe in Scripture. And he's only using Scripture and the Bible as a campaign talking point. And I'm glad that average Christians can actually see this for exactly what it is, because true Christians would never say Scripture is propaganda. Never. Yet he will continue to try to lie to people and convince people that he is a Christian. False.
So, Attorney General, your opponent, James Talrico, making headlines as of late, accused of voting in 5 elections using his parents' address after buying his own home nearby. Here's what he had to say.
This is Ken Paxton's playbook. It is not rooted in fact.
So are you saying that you did not use your parents' address in those 5 elections?
I'm saying I followed all of our election laws in Texas.
Notice the non-answer. He's asked a direct question about voting from his parents' house. And he completely dodges the question, gives a complete non-answer. And if this was an honest journalist, they would hold his feet to the fire. No, I'm going to ask you again. Did you vote from your parents' house? Because if so, that makes him ineligible as a candidate under Texas law.
And did not commit voter fraud.
No, I'm assuming you're aware of this. Are you looking into these claims?
Well, look, this is up to other people to investigate, but it is questionable that he registered with his parents and then he ran actually in a different district. You're supposed to live in a district at least 12 months before you run. And he clearly moved into his parents' house after that 12-month period and filed in a different district. And then also, as has been suggested, voted there when he was likely living somewhere else.
This is what happened with Kevin Steele, by the way, in Florida's 14th district. He lied about his eligibility because he voted from a different location, which most states require you to actually reside within the district and vote within the district within a certain period of time before you can actually run for that district. So I love that he's getting his feet held to the fire here. By the way, the child that Ken Paxton got an emergency order to protect, they actually gave birth to the child. It's a healthy child, but now they are suing the mother for the birth of that child, which I find crazy. All right. Do I have enough time to play this? Yes. And then I'll probably have to jump off after this. So I love that this person went undercover as a DSA recruiter, just to give you guys a little laugh before I leave.
Do you agree
Let me turn down the audio. Sorry about that, chat.
to abolish all borders?
Yeah.
Great. In the presidency and the Senate and
Yeah.
police, all jails?
Yes.
Is that something you as a person of color might be interested in, or?
No.
No. Really? But you're diverse. The Democrat socialists are taking America by storm, pretending to be a minority movement while being 85% white. So to expose the blackface, I'm going undercover as a white splainer in their most gentrified district in America. Hello, comrade. Do you support the Democrat Socialists of America?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Oh my God, amazing. Are you a member already, or?
Yes.
We're just doing an interest form for NPOCs, non-persons of color. We try to get white people to represent people of color, to sort of speak for them, speak over them, since it's hard for them to speak up, you know?
Yeah.
Do you agree to abolish all borders?
Yeah.
Great. In the presidency and the Senate?
Yes. Right now, yes.
Okay. Trying to get rid of the presidency, the Senate, all borders, police, all jails. Is that something you as a person of color might be interested in, or?
No.
No. Really? But you're diverse.
Why would I want to abolish the police?
Oh,
We
okay.
need them.
We typically put brown and black people as the face of it, like Mamdani, trying to usher in socialism through disguised white supremacy.
Heck yeah.
Are you a fan of socialism?
Yeah.
Yes.
And what do you like about socialism?
I went to a very socialist high school.
So they're indoctrinating kids young now, teaching them the truth. Are you interested in socialism?
Oh, I'm good, thank you.
Oh, okay. Do you like the DSA?
No. Hell no.
Free bus, free Palestine, free rent. No. Did you flee socialism? You don't think socialism is a good idea?
No.
Okay. I wonder why, though.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you like about communism?
Better than what we have now.
I know, right? And communism has worked everywhere pretty much.
Right.
The Soviet Union was amazing and everyone loved it.
Yeah,
It was one big party. Mouse China, super fun.
Right.
Everybody didn't
Mouse
die.
China.
Socialism,
Uh,
communism. That's some rich white people.
We have a couple black and brown people. It's 4% black. We're mostly white people speaking over black people and pushing policies that they don't actually support. Do you feel afraid to speak for yourself?
Nah.
Oh, you don't?
I don't know.
Oh, okay, really? The Democrat Party right now, very diverse, but we're trying to kick out the moderate Democrats and replace it with us. So we're looking for more white recruits. We're very pro-jihadist as well.
Yeah,
So
okay.
we're sort of masking Islamism as socialism, carried through white supremacy. What do you think about our numbers?
I think that needs to change.
Oh, you do? Did you know we were 85% white?
I didn't. The DSA.
The organization?
Yeah, they're racist as hell.
Does Guatemala have socialism? Okay. And you didn't like it?
No.
Why don't any of the people of color actually want socialism? It's just supporting brown and black voices by speaking over them, basically. For example, they don't want to abolish prisons, most polls show, but we want to abolish prisons. Does that make sense, kind of? Yeah. Well, I'm so glad you were indoctrinated young. Do you think some of it comes from white guilt?
Absolutely.
Thank you. We're taking our white guilt and we're using it for good.
Fan
Amazing. Awesome. Yikes. Looks like underneath all the communism, the DSA is nothing more than a bunch of overeducated, guilty white people pushing policies that won't hurt them nearly as much as the minorities they're cosplaying. So think again.
I do love that it was like majority white feminists that were signing on because it's literally brain rotted the country, these ideas. Let me see. Oh, I just want to play this. Do I have a little bit of time? Just a snippet of time here. All right. So this is actually a current Democrat representative that actually said that it's just terms of ideology, the Democrat socialists.
Yeah, I mean, the voters want change, right? That's what they're saying. They want an end to the status quo. This is a rebellion against the status quo. And it's not necessarily change in terms of ideology. I mean, the DSA is winning some primaries because they're showing more change and representing more change. But, sometimes it's been a change in terms of, how long have you been there? Have you been there too long? Change in terms of, are you fighting against the Trump administration enough, right? And so I think it is a change, but it's a change not necessarily in the ideological spectrum as much as it is style and wanting to be more of a, against the President Trump and his administration. Yeah.
Okay, so this man said the quiet part out loud. It's the same ideology. The left has the same ideology as the DSA. The only difference is what he's claiming is the approach, because they don't actually disagree with this, but many Democrats don't want to say it out loud because they know it's going to scare away their moderate base that they want to completely reform the Constitution and change the Constitution. I'm glad that he said this out loud because this is going to be a clip that I play very often on my podcast and on my TikTok lives. There is no change in the ideology. This has been the ideology. They were just more quiet and manipulative about it. Now it's just out in the open. So they just get to openly endorse it. All right, guys, I have to call it here. I got to go run and pick up my little ones. Thank you so much for joining me here on YouTube. Just want to do a quick shout out for everyone who gifted the live today on TikTok and on YouTube. I want to do a shout out to Tucko, Scoop, Shelly, Fernando, Scott, Patricia, and Michael. Thank you all so much for participating in thumbs upping the YouTube live. I know it's a little bit different than TikTok where you just tap the screen. On YouTube, it's the thumbs up. I love you all, and I will see you on Monday. Take care, guys.